So, another crazy thing happened to me recently. It was a Sunday morning, and I fried eggs for breakfast, but something was definitely wrong. I wasn't sure if it was the eggs or me, though. Now, you've tried fried eggs, right? They normally taste like, eggs. But that time, along with the eggs, I could also taste lemon, vanilla yogurt, and even some paper. And it's not as good as you might think. Yogurt tastes nice by itself, but together with eggs, it's gross. Whatever was the reason, I decided I'd be okay with just a tea for that day. But as soon as I tried it, I spat it out. What is that? Did I put a spoonful of black pepper there? I needed some water ASAP. I got a glass and, thankfully, it was just a regular glass of water. I tried to eat some strawberries, but along with the normal strawberry taste, they had a taste of hot chili. That's not a good combination, to be honest. It looked like something happened to all of the food in the house. I also had an orange juice, so I drank a glass of it. Surprisingly, it tasted totally fine. Suddenly, I got a weird thought. Do I taste colors? It was so crazy and strange that I needed to check this theory immediately. I admit I licked the white back of my cell phone, but it really did taste like vanilla yogurt, just like the egg. So, it was true. I could taste colors that would mix with every food's original taste and mess it up. I wanted to go to the doctor, but although this new superpower was weird, it was still a bit exciting. Also, I couldn't wait to figure out what other tastes are like. So, I went to a store and got myself a pack of markers. I got to the table, opened the yellow one, and licked it. It did taste like lemon. So, I licked each one and made a list. Pink tasted like strawberry. Red was chili, orange was an orange. Blue was very bitter, light blue was salty, and violet was blueberry. Black was black pepper, beige, nut muss, gray, paper, and green tasted like puke. Well, I had to conclude I don't eat green food from now on. Not that I was really sad about it though. Only one color was left, the brown one. I was very reluctant to try it, but I had to figure it out. Whew. To my relief, it had the taste of coffee. Now, I don't like coffee, but it could be worse. I knew I had to go see my doctor, but I kind of wanted to live with this superpower for a while. It doesn't happen to you every day, So I decided I'll go to the doctor tomorrow. And today, I had to learn how to live with this ability. I had to avoid putting in my mouth anything black, gray, blue, and green. Not only food, but the dishes and cutlery as well. And I had to figure out what food I can actually eat, because I didn't like strawberries that tasted like chili pepper. So I went to the store to get some transparent dishes. While walking, I was thinking about my menu for today. Orange juice works, strawberry, vanilla, and lemon yogurt too. I can make a fruit salad with mango, raspberries, grapes, banana, and yogurt. But that was all I could come up with. As I was thinking, I was biting my lip and found out it tasted like strawberry. In the store, it was pretty easy to find a transparent bowl, but spoons and forks were a problem. I think I went to every store in my city until I could finally find them. As soon as I got back home, I cut all the fruits and made a fruit salad. I hadn't eaten much that morning, as you remember. Honestly, it was the best salad ever. I saved some money because I didn't have to buy berries, oranges, and lemons, but the taste was there. As I was enjoying my meal, the phone rang. It was my grandma, and she invited me for dinner that evening. I tried to say I couldn't make it, but she wouldn't listen. Grandmas. It's just impossible to skip when they want to feed you. So she said she didn't want to hear any excuses and that I had to be at her house by 6. This meant I couldn't wait until tomorrow. I had to go to the doctor right then and get rid of this superpower before my grandma made me eat puke and drink tea with black pepper. I checked the time. I had only 20 minutes before my doctor left, and the clinic was several blocks away. I finished my salad and ran out of the apartment. I got to the clinic just 5 minutes before it closed for the day and asked if my doctor could see me because I had an emergency. To my relief, he agreed. When I told him that I could taste colors, he looked at me puzzled and probably thought it was a stupid prank. Then I told him the whole story about the fried egg for breakfast and how I bought and tasted all the markers, that violet was blueberry and green was not an apple as he might have thought, that I spent hours trying to find a transparent spoon and fork. To be honest, in my head it sounded better and was making much more sense. The doctor was silent and kinda suspicious. He measured my temperature, my blood pressure, and looked at my mouth. "So, you've been eating markers," he smiled. Oops, I guess my tongue was the color of a rainbow. Well, that really doesn't sound normal for a grown-up. The doctor obviously didn't believe me, so he just let me go, recommending a good night's sleep. So, I guess I was stuck with it, and I had to go to Grandma's. Unfortunately, there was no way she'd feed me strawberry yogurt for dinner. I got home to get my new cutlery, so at least I didn't have to taste paper when eating with my grandma's gray metal fork. I had another couple of hours, so I did some Googling, but still couldn't find any solution or even research on my condition. I thought that maybe I could wash it off, so I drank a gallon of water. But it didn't help, so I went to Grandma's place feeling doomed. Plus, I really needed to go. She was happy to see me and announced that she had my favorite broccoli pancakes for me. Yeah, maybe yesterday they had been my favorite, but definitely not anymore. I tried to say I'm not hungry and I could just drink some orange juice, but of course, she wouldn't listen. She gave me a plate with 5 pancakes and a cup of black tea. Suddenly, I got an idea of how I could get rid of at least the pepper taste. If I put a piece of lemon in the tea, I'll get brown. Therefore, I'll have a coffee tea instead of a pepper tea. I was lucky. My grandma did have the lemon, so the tea problem was solved. But the worst part was the pancakes, and my grandma was looking at me all excited and pleased. I had to eat. I was trying hard to control my facial expression and look very happy, as if I was eating the best food on the planet, even though it was the most terrible meal in my life. And yes, I was drinking a lot of my coffee tea. Well, 3 cups. But when I finished and thanked my grandma, she was so happy that I understood eating puke was worth it. Turned out my grandma actually had a vanilla yogurt, so I ate all she had to get rid of the taste I still had in my mouth after the pancakes. On my way home, biting my strawberry lip, I was thinking, I had to come up with a plan on how to get rid of this ability. But I couldn't think of anything. So, as soon as I got home, I just went to sleep, even though it was only 9 p.m. I slept for 11 hours, and the next morning, I made myself a fruit salad with yogurt. Again. I guess from then on, it was my dish for the rest of my life. I was eating it with my transparent fork and watching a TV show, when I suddenly realized I couldn't taste any lemon there, and no orange as well. I bit my lip and it didn't have a taste anymore. With my hand shaking, I opened the fridge to get my strawberries. I ate one and it tasted like a regular normal strawberry. No chili pepper. Everything was back to normal like it never happened. But I swear it did. Really?
You're sitting at a coffee shop on Mars, keeping your head down, trying not to draw any attention to yourself. It's crowded, and many people are singing, dancing, and talking loudly about life on Mars. Your drink arrives, and you sip on it. So far, no one recognizes you. You're wearing a cloak with a large hoodie to cover your face and disguise yourself from everyone. Someone accidentally bumps into you and sees your face. The music stops, and now everyone is staring at you. You have nowhere to hide or run. You ignore the leering eyes and keep sipping on your beverage. An old bearded man sits in front of you, amazed to be in your presence.
"So, it's true. No one believed you'd make it," he says.
You don't reply and continue with your drink. Everyone else gathers around you. Another man speaks.
"Well, are you not going to tell us how you escaped from the clutches of the space Kraken?"
Everyone gasps in shock. No one has ever made it to tell the tale of the Kraken, except you. Your plan was to find your messenger to take you to a spaceship far away from this planet. But it's too late, now that everyone knows you're here. And the messenger fled, knowing all the attention was on you. You lay back your hoodie and explain what happened. 2 days ago. You're in your full gear, ready to make the voyage into deep space. You have a solo ship that's designed to maneuver through all the obstacles in space. You prepare the rest of the gear and fuel up. Everyone is watching you, knowing that you might not make it back. But the Kraken has been floating in space for too long, disrupting shipping containers bringing in goods. A small ship like yours can sneak past its acute sense of smell and vision. But larger ships will get destroyed. You made it your mission to find this Kraken and study it. If you learn its ways and patterns, you can figure out how to get rid of it. Everyone says their goodbyes, and you lift off. You know that it'll be a very long way to get there, possibly 3 days in the emptiness of space. You saw some quick footage of it, but no one knows exactly where it sleeps, or if it even does sleep. You put on some tunes and set your ship for cruise control. You make some notes and set the camera to document yourself while you prepare everything you need. You also have some cameras outside recording everything that moves, even thermal sensors to catch living creatures floating in space. After a few hours, you exit the safe quarters of Mars and enter into the hostile territory. There is no place to hide or anyone to help you. A few little ships like yours pass by now and then. They watch you going further to the Kraken. You notice many floating signs powered by machines warning you about the Kraken. The cameras start recording, and you begin your video journal, which is transmitting to your network at home. So far, nothing. It's quiet and dark. Hours pass, and you're just floating in the middle of nowhere. You almost feel like you want to turn around, but then you pick up something in the sensors. You see a large live object nearby. You turn off the lights and slow down your ship. You resume recording and start talking to yourself, explaining everything. The object is getting closer and closer. You move aside to avoid it and latch on to a floating rock, but you still don't see anything. Out of nowhere, you see some glowing jellyfish-like creatures flowing together in a cluster. On your thermal sensors, they appear to be large objects, but in fact, they are just little creatures. According to your studies, these creatures are some of the main foods for the Kraken, so they're probably running away from it. After a few minutes, the creatures float away, and you launch yourself out and turn the lights back on. A few more hours pass, and you still see no Kraken. Suddenly, a whoosh shakes your ship, and you're thrown slightly off course. You notice that a large object has spiked your thermal sensors and left. You keep going and check the playback settings to see if your cameras manage to catch something. You try to look carefully, but it seems like a gust of wind blew past you, which is weird because there is no wind in space. You check the thermal sensors and notice that a large object shaped like the Kraken has zipped past you. It's still around, and it has probably caught your scent. Your system's got some DNA particles and are studying them. After a while, they show that the Kraken's skin can change colors according to its surrounding. Its skin is thick and made up of some cosmic fluorescent material that is new to any creature you've ever come across. The system continues studying it. After a while, the Kraken goes off your radar and disappears. You circle back, trying to find it. People back on Mars can see the data and already have information about its size and skin quality. They even see some footage you've managed to catch. As you continue driving towards it, you open your floodlights, trying to see anything. Your cameras are still rolling. Suddenly, the Kraken changes skin color and appears right in front of you. Its large tentacles flash around, whipping nearby space debris. Its large eye that's as big as a bus looks right at you. It opens its mouth, and you see layers of sharp teeth circling like a grinder. It has a large beak that can break your ship easily. It starts flashing its colors rapidly as a way to warn you. It shoots out some liquid to move in a no-gravity space environment. It's moving towards you until it launches itself. Your ship has an auto force field for protection, but it can't sustain the powerful bite of the Kraken. After only a few seconds, the shield breaks, and your ship spirals down to another planet. You crash-landed in a swampy land. Your ship has survived, but it can't take off. The analysis of the Kraken is ready. It shows that it doesn't need oxygen to breathe, and its DNA is evolving. Now that it got a bite of your force field, it can adapt itself to create a bioforce field of a similar nature. But you crashed on a planet that is foreign to you. You put on your safety suit and observe the environment. The atmosphere is filled with nitrogen and sulfur. You get out and walk around. It has similar gravity to that of Earth. As you venture through the swamp, you start seeing little skin particles similar to those your ship has caught. The liquid below you is some foreign substance that seems to be deteriorating your suit, so you opt to hover. The trees are strange and seem to be living off the atmosphere, but there is no sign of life anywhere. Suddenly, you see a huge crater that leads to the center of the planet. You enter it and see some ships similar to yours. It seems that the Kraken knocked them off course, and they all crash-landed on this planet. Many of them seem to be intact, while others are completely obliterated. Your sensors pick up another reading. It senses another creature dwelling in the center. You try to get closer. You're doing your best to be as gentle as possible, but you feel the ground shaking below you. You duck down and try to avoid the rocks falling overhead. A large tentacle pops out of nowhere, and then another and another. It swings itself out and crawls in the open. According to your system's studies, this Kraken is 10 times larger and even looks different. It doesn't spot you, but it can sense that you're around. It starts thrashing the planet, trying to find you. It knocks your ship. You try to find a way to start it, but it's missing a piece. You find another abandoned ship and take out the part that you need and put it on your ship. Your suit has an auto repair function that allows you to fix your ship without the tools. After a few minutes, it's ready for takeoff. You power up your ship, even though it's damaged, and lift off. You manage to sneak past the Kraken. Everyone at the coffee shop is silent. Many don't believe your stories. They had stopped receiving live transmissions before you were knocked off by the space Kraken. Out of nowhere, an alarm rings and warns that the Kraken has arrived. Everyone rushes off in a panic. You hear a voice in your head. It's a bunch of gibberish, but you start getting visions of the Kraken talking to you. It knows you're here, and it's coming for you.
You are waiting for your garlic bread in the oven. While looking up at the stars through your kitchen window, you ask yourself, could you send garlic bread to space? And more importantly, could you still eat it if it came back? Some mighty important questions. Usually, when it comes to garlic bread, there are only two things people care about. Do we want cheese on it? And, oh yeah, eating it. That mouth-watering garlicky taste, combined with the soft, warm bread. Okay, focus. How are we going to send the bread to space? Given that NASA's first space shuttle cost roughly $49 billion, I don't think they'll allow us to borrow a rocket ship for the day, since they may have, more important things to do. I know, it's hard to believe that some people don't take garlic bread as seriously as the rest of us. Don't worry though, all we need is a balloon. Not the kind of balloon we're used to being around at things like parties, where you're surrounded by pizza, burgers and bread buns, hot dogs and bread buns, and cake. I think bread might have too strong of a hold on me. Anyway, the kind of balloon we need is a weather balloon. A weather balloon is explicitly designed to reach high altitudes of up to 24 miles. It carries instruments beyond our atmosphere to send information on temperature, humidity, wind speed, and atmospheric pressure back to us. A French meteorologist, this guy, first started experimenting with them in 1896, and his work led to the discovery of the stratosphere. I wonder if he'd been proud of these balloons now operating as an extraterrestrial taxi service for our garlic bread. Maybe not, but I'm sure he'd be delighted knowing that hundreds of people worldwide today release these balloons for their own experiments every 12 hours. Most standard organizations believe that space officially starts at the completely arbitrated Kármán line, over 62 miles above us. Sending the bread into orbit would require a speed of tens of thousands of miles an hour. Without our rocket ship, which conventionally travels at a speed of 17,000 miles per hour, we won't be able to get the bread that high or to travel at that speed. Okay, no, you can still keep the rocket. I'm happy with my amazing weather balloon, which, by the way, will still get us a third of the way to space, bringing us to the area known as the edge of space. Given that the atmosphere up there is so thin, about 1% of the pressure at ground level, it's really not that bad of a substitute for actual space for this test. I was never comfortable with being over 62 miles away from my dinner anyway, so this works much better for my food abandonment issues. Ow, my ears! I can already hear you at your computer screaming, "What is this guy talking about?" I've seen videos of things like pizza being sent to actual space before, using a similar method. Why should we settle for the edge of space? Well, many cameras operating in those videos to document the object's journey use a fisheye lens. This lens exaggerates the Earth's curve compared to what it looks like at those heights, giving off the illusion that the camera's closer to space than it is. Glad we settled that. Unlike if I were to ask you which is better, pizza or garlic bread. Moving swiftly along, thank you. Now that we've got our weather balloon, to which we've reluctantly attached our garlic bread, the moment for takeoff has arrived. We launch the garlic bread to the sky and wipe the tears from our cheeks as we watch it disappear beyond the clouds. In comparison to a rocket, the pace of our balloon may as well be that of a tortoise, and it will travel at a speed of over 1,000 feet per minute. So, a good way to distract ourselves from the sadness of our bread's departure is by asking ourselves what the garlic bread's in store for during its journey. Well, in 2 hours, our weather balloon can rise above the clouds higher than the paths of jet planes, passing through the ozone layer in the stratosphere and reaching altitudes of 22 miles or higher. The balloon will endure temperatures as cold as minus 90 degrees centigrade, meaning we'd better have a microwave on hand should it make its way back to us. The balloon will expand as it ascends, from 6.5 feet up to 26 feet, because air pressure decreases as the balloon climbs higher in the atmosphere. What happens next would be a truly satisfying experience were my food not being put at risk as a result. Our weather balloon pops. And just like that, our garlic bread will begin the descent from the skies. Wind conditions dictate how far from the launch site the bread will land, but we can expect it to turn up no more than 75 miles away. As is the case for experiments with weather balloons, a parachute is attached to the cargo, which will help ensure the bread's safe return and a reunion with its best friend, my stomach. Some say it's a one-sided friendship. Even though it's this stomach of mine that's currently making animal noises from starvation. It's actual animals who now pose a threat as potential predators of snatching our dinner. Engineers have designed packaging for exercises like this, equipped with GPS and a servo. This packaging will close shut approximately 3,280 feet above the ground. It will protect the garlic bread from unwanted landing spots and the various jaws of the animal kingdom, dramatically increasing the likelihood of being able to eat the garlic bread if we can relocate it. In all actuality, weather balloons used for experiments like this are doing more damage to wildlife and nature than vice versa. Marine animals like turtles often mistake the remains of weather balloons in the water for jellyfish and eat them, thinking that they've just got themselves an easy meal. This is damaging for these animals, given the components of these weather balloons contain rubber and battery acid. Arguments have been put forth that weather balloon testing is ultimately another form of littering. If this video inspires you to try and send some food to space using balloons, keep this in mind. So, the hunt is now on, not for any wild animals, but ourselves. What's that saying though? Fail to prepare. Prepare to go without that fantastic piece of garlic bread that you've just launched into the edge of space, which you're now on your way to reclaim? Or is it just preparing to fail? It doesn't matter, as suggested by the parachute and protective packaging. We're doing neither. To ensure we could find the bread once it landed, we attach radio trackers to the balloon before launching it. These send a signal with a GPS position to the ground, which is then put on a map for us to chase, giving us a good idea of where the garlic bread will be found. Man, I love technology. And just like that, the moment has arrived. We've found our garlic bread intact. And after some moments of passionate hugging and loving strokes, I'm ready to take a bite. So, was the wait worth it? How's it taste? And can you eat it? Yes, you can. But the taste? Not that great, actually. And despite mentioning it earlier, I forgot to bring my microwave. The bread's been frozen from the frightening temperatures experienced on its journey. And I actually mean frozen. The bread itself has an icy middle. But before we can even discover this, we'll notice that when we go to rip a piece of the bread off, it doesn't tear as normal. Instead, it snaps off, as if we've just broken a piece off a twig. We can even hear the clicking noise. My warm, soft bread is no more. You'd be better off keeping this for dessert in the event you run out of frozen ice cream. On second thought, let's just throw it in the trash. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool that we were able to send this garlic bread to the edge of space and still end up eating it, right? Before I pass out from starvation, I'm going to the store to buy some more, which I definitely won't be sending to space. Why don't you let us know in the comments if there's any food you'd like to send to space for seasoning before eating? South Caribbean Sea, July 21st, 2047. Well, it's finally happened. The research institution you work for got word of a massive shark spotted off the coast of Panama. Local scientists confirmed the impossible. It's a Megalodon, and you've been sent with one mission: to study this thing up close and within. Hey, it's also your birthday, but the cake will have to wait. They've already got the specimen ready. With enough tranquilizer to take down 10 elephants, the Meg is immobile. But you're on a strict time limit. The sedation will wear off in a half an hour.
All right, it's go time.
The head researcher slaps you on the back.
Good luck down there. And remember, don't get anywhere near that turbine.
Oh, right. They set that up in front of the shark to keep water flowing through its gills. Without the continuous flow, the Meg wouldn't be able to breathe.
Got it.
And you jump overboard. You set the timer in your watch for 25 minutes, just to be safe. The shark isn't too far under the surface. 60 feet long, weighing probably 50 tons, it's the size of a train car. She's a big girl, all right. Males wouldn't get much bigger than 40 feet. You swim closer to her, remove one of your gloves, reach out and touch her. Her skin is like sandpaper, covered in tiny teeth-like scales. They curve toward her tail fin and reduce drag as she swims.
How is it going down there? Keep it quick.
It's all good, Dr. Perez. I'll be done before you know it. You pull out your tablet and open the X-ray app. You hold it in front of you and run it along her body. The screen shows all the detail in her strong muscles. The red tissue needs oxygen and helps her cruise over long distances. Then there's white muscle tissue. It isn't oxygenated and is only used for sudden bursts of speed. You switch the setting to skeletal view. All the cartilage, the same flexible stuff your ears and nose are made of. It keeps the shark lightweight so she can zip through the water without expending too much precious energy. And zip she does, about 16 feet per second, twice as fast as the great white. The weight of her own body would crush her internal organs on land, since sharks have no rib cage. Let's see how old you are. You zoom in on her backbone. It's calcified, just like her jaw, making them both stronger. You do a crosscut of one of the discs in your app. The vertebrae have bands. Just like rings in trees, they tell the shark's age and growth history. You count them. 15. She's about halfway through her life. Her skull is made of a denser cartilage to protect the shark's Y-shaped brain. The snout is spongy and flexible, easily taking blows without breaking.
20 minutes left on the sedation. What's your status?
The lead researcher radios in again. Muscular and skeletal analyses are done. Moving on to the sensory organs.
Roger that.
You swim up to one of her black, beady eyes. A chill goes down your spine. It's as if she's looking right at you, a helpless piece of meat, her next meal. Hey girl, if only you had eyelids to let me know you're definitely knocked out. Behind her eye, you see a tiny hole. Hey, found your ear. Sharks obviously don't have outer ears, but their hearing is still impeccable. This megafish could hear you thrashing in the water from 10 football fields away. It's the low frequencies of irregular splashes that catch her attention. They mean one thing: wounded prey. From there, you follow her lateral line, a line of pores extending down the sides of her body. It's a special system in sharks that detects the slightest movements in the water, how far away the source is, which direction is coming from. Basically, a shark's entire body is like one giant ear. Just gonna examine your nostrils, my dear. Strictly for sniffing out prey, they don't lead to the throat and respiratory system like in humans, meaning sharks can't sneeze. The smallest hint of an odor runs into the nasal passage. Past folds of skin covered in sensory cells, they send the info to the olfactory bulb, which leads to the brain. In great whites, the nose can pick up a single drop of blood in an Olympic-sized pool. You look at your watch. 10 minutes left. You examine her gills. Water flows through them, and the gills extract oxygen from it. This is also where the body gets rid of CO2, essentially carrying out the function of lungs. But the oxygen to carbon dioxide exchange happens at the cellular level, and the blood is what transports it. You switch to circulatory view. There it is, the S-shaped heart. It's small compared to her body size and has only 2 chambers. The heart sends blood to the gills, where it picks up oxygen and moves on to the body tissues. The muscles, constantly moving and propelling the shark through the water, warm up the blood. This can only happen because the veins and arteries moving to and away from the heart are located so close to each other. Blood that's warmer than her environment and not dependent on it, unlike other fish, allows the Meg to hunt in cooler waters as well, even if she prefers warm areas. That means nothing can hide from her. Everything about her body is designed to sniff out and gobble up any prey.
We're getting some fluctuations in the vitals. Come on, wrap it up.
Almost done. One thing left, the thing you've been avoiding, her mouth and digestive tract. You swim up to her jaws, careful to keep your distance from the current flowing into her face. Her jaws have been propped open for better examination, and they're enormous. 10 feet across, 9 feet high, you could stand in her mouth with a friend on your shoulders. They can open up to 100 degrees, enough to fit the biggest prey out there. Large fish, whales, even other sharks. She needs 2,500 pounds of food a day, more than the average person eats in a whole year. The jaws can come down with 30,000 pounds of force, like being crushed by a car. The great white can only boast a jaw force of 4,000 pounds. Humans, a piddly 160. Ooh, and those teeth. 250 of them in 5 rows. They're razor sharp and can cut right into whalebone. The teeth are slanted back towards the throat, so nothing can escape their grip. The biggest ones are the size of your hand. Fascinated, even hypnotized, you swim a little closer, just a couple more inches, when, whoosh, the turbine's current carries you straight into her mouth. The force of the water is pushing you against the back of her throat. Your X-ray scanner shows a mouth chock full of sensory cells. Lucky for our species, sharks don't really like the taste of human, but they only realize that after an initial taste test. That's why sharks bite people, not to eat them, just to sample what's on the menu. You pull out an apple-sized metal sphere and push it into her throat. The probe makes its way through the esophagus. A shark's food chute isn't a skinny tube like ours. It's wide and barely indistinguishable from the stomach. The stomach is U-shaped and full of extremely strong acids and enzymes. Those turn whatever the shark has swallowed whole, these animals don't chew their food, into a mushy liquid. From there, the soup moves into the intestines. They're relatively short for an animal this size, but evolution came up with a clever trick to increase the surface area. The inside of the intestine is shaped in a spiral. This is so she can absorb the nutrients from her meals. Meanwhile, on board, her vitals are coming to life. Perez tries to radio you, but a jumbled message barely gets through your earpiece.
Hear me? Backing up.
What? Hello? Do you read me? You look at the timer. 5 minutes. You should be able to swim out against the current, hopefully. As the probe makes its way through her digestive tract, from within her mouth, you grab one more X-ray of her body cavity. You see the liver. It's massive, takes up 90% of the space in there, and accounts for 25% of her weight. It's full of oils and helps with buoyancy in the water. But then, you see something moving within her. It's a pup. Shark babies are ready to hunt on their own as soon as they're born. This Meg pup must be 7 feet long. But this means she's not the only one. Just then, the turbine shuts off. Your timer starts beeping. Hey, I still technically have 5 minutes. Wrong. The shark starts to move. You swim out of her mouth as fast as you can and with all your might head back to the boat. She's still a little groggy, but Miss Meggie can swim. She beelines toward you just as you break the surface. The team grabs your hand, pulls you on board, and the boat speeds away. At that moment, the Meg comes leaping out of the water. She follows you for a while, but loses interest soon enough. Whew, that was too close. Happy birthday to me. Hey, time for some cake.
Warning, monster ahead. Not the best thing to see written on an old wooden sign at an entrance to a rainforest you just ran into. You're a professional treasure hunter and wildlife explorer. Right now, you're being chased by some mean-looking poachers, but those guys are amateurs. You dart left, hide, then run again. Works every time. Why were those guys shouting so much? Back to business. For several years now, you've been on a quest for a pirate's chest. Inside, a 300-year-old royal medallion. And according to this old map, the chest is somewhere here, in this jungle. Chirping birds, hungry bugs, screaming monkeys, hopefully nothing too hungry. You walk to the river and freeze. Suddenly, total silence. Not a single sound anywhere except the river. Right then, the silence is broken. Something's definitely sneaking up behind you. You turn around and see a long, thick snake's body. You raise your head slowly. 2 huge fangs are hanging out right above your eyes, and a long forked tongue is gently licking your nose. On the other end of the tongue is a deep, dark mouth. Looks like a black hole. You'd fit in there no problem. You take a step back and stumble over a rock. You fall. That's the last thing you remember. Then, darkness. Looks like you'll be out for a while. Time to find out what monster you just met. Meet Titanoboa, the largest snake that ever lived on Earth, and the largest land vertebrate after the dinosaurs. It's 42 feet long. That's like 7 adults, or more than half a subway car. And it could weigh up to 1.5 tons. All modern pythons and anacondas are descendants of this ancient reptile that lived 60 million years ago. Except for this one, apparently. This snake isn't venomous, but it uses its long fangs to grab food. And its jaw is built for business. Imagine an empty car being crushed by the Brooklyn Bridge. That's what it feels like to be a Titanoboa's afternoon snack. Back to you. The Titanoboa was about to take a closer look at you, but you fell and passed out. The huge snake wasn't expecting its lunch to be quite so willing. It sniffs your body, looks it up and down. You're not a threat, so it doesn't need to squeeze you before... The snake opens its wide mouth and begins to swallow. Snakes have a special jaw, divided into several parts. They're connected by ligaments and muscles, so snakes can open their mouth up wide, like motorbike wide. But today, Titanoboa doesn't need to try so hard. Gulp. Titanoboas use their huge fangs to push food down their throats. While it's swallowing, Titanoboa likes to use saliva to grease up its lunch and make it more slippery, much easier to swallow. Bit by bit, you disappear from view. Your clothes are soaking wet at this point. A few minutes later, you've disappeared from view and the snake looks really fat. And that's when you wake up. So how do we know what would happen? Some guy in a full-body protective suit actually tried to get inside an anaconda on purpose. Darkness. You open your eyes and take a deep breath. An unpleasant liquid gets in your mouth a bit, and you cough. It's hard to scratch your itchy nose. You're squeezed in from all sides. Titanoboa has a super muscly throat. At first, you panic. What happened? Where are you? You scream, but no sound. It doesn't exactly smell great in there. And that's when you realize where you are. You can't see daylight anymore. Uh-oh. Then you feel a weird wiggling side to side. Titanoboa's on the move. A python can digest its lunch in a matter of weeks. It all depends on the size of the food. This Titanoboa just ate a relatively small snack. Shouldn't take it more than a few hours. But there is some good news. Since you're not that big, you have at least a bit of space to wriggle around in. You reach into your pants pocket. Your clothes, your hands, they're soaking wet. Nasty. Of course, everything else you brought with you is soaked also. Your map, matches, granola bar. Also, there's not that much air inside a massive snake. You need to conserve oxygen. Finally, you pull out your waterproof flashlight. It still works. Looks like a tiny red room. No doors, no windows. Then it hits you. Your phone. You can just reach it. The screen's cracked, but it still works. But you've only got 4% battery, and there's no signal. You think about the signal flare strapped to your ankle, the ones you use to light up a dark cave and stuff, but you can't reach it. You put all your strength into bending your knees, but you just can't. Suddenly, you notice that you've stopped moving. Snakes like to crawl to a safe resting place after eating a large meal. That's when it starts releasing more enzymes to help it digest its prize. You've got one shot to reach the flare. You need to relax your whole body. You stop moving and start to breathe slowly. You feel the walls around you start to relax too. You have 1 second to bend down and reach for the flare. You go for it. Your hand slides down your leg, past the knee, almost there. You reach your ankle, but there's nothing there. It must have come loose while you were running through the rainforest. A few hours pass. You're well inside Titanoboa's stomach. Snakes have powerful enzymes that can digest all parts of an animal, so it wouldn't have problems dealing with clothes and shoes. You feel around with your hands. Maybe you can find something to help you. A bone from a previous meal? Anything. Your fingers graze over something, a hard, round object. You manage to get the flashlight on it. No way! It's the royal medallion you've been hunting for. This Titanoboa must be way older than you thought. It must have had a tasty pirate snack about 300 years ago. How did this snake survive so long? Good diet? Plenty of exercise? There's no chance of escape. You decide to write a final message on your phone. Maybe someone will find it after this whole thing is over. You write that you love your family and have lived a happy life full of adventures. You start to cry, not out of sadness, well, a little bit, but mostly because the enzymes are stinging your eyes. It's done. You put your phone back in your pocket and clutch the medallion tight. You found it! How awesome are you right now? You close your eyes and start feeling kinda sleepy. Then your phone buzzes. Someone sent you a text. That means you finally got a signal. You call for help and tell them you've been swallowed by a huge snake. You're saved! But they don't believe you and hang up.
Just another prankster.
You call back, but your battery's done for. A moment later, the snake begins to move again. You hear strange noises coming from outside. What's going on? You can feel the snake's muscles tense up, like it's getting ready to make a dash for it. A few seconds pass, and then the snake suddenly relaxes. You hear human voices. You try to shout, but you're inside a snake. So wham! A human hand grabs your head. Another hand grabs you by the shoulder and starts to pull. Someone came for you. You pass through the throat, and after a couple of minutes, the darkness disappears and sunlight hits your eyes. You're saved! Why did you run away from us? We were trying to warn you. Whoa, that guy looks real familiar. Oh, it's that guy who was chasing you earlier. Turns out he wasn't a poacher. He was a local guide. Apparently, locals are always pulling lost tourists out of Titanoboa's stomach. They usually just give the snake something to make it sleepy, then pull. You hug your saviors and thank them for their help. You're never going back to that rainforest, that's for sure. A smile spreads over your face, and you reach into your pocket to feel that sweet gold medallion. No! It must have fallen out! That means it's still stuck in the snake's stomach. You look at the rescuers and ask, "You mind if I pop back in there real quick?" Hey, what's that noise? How long have you been sleeping? You try to move your neck. It's a little bit stiff. You've had a good nap, but fell asleep in an uncomfortable position. In the movie theater. Oh, now you remember. The movie was really boring. You were tired after a long day at work, so you couldn't help it. You look around. Everyone's out. You're alone. Everything is clean, with no popcorn or soda cans on the floor. Weird. The credits are rolling down the screen, so it's time to go. It might be pretty late, and you don't want to miss your bus. You get up, stretch, and slowly go to the door. You enter the hallway. No one is there. You're confused. Usually when you stay at the movie theater so late, someone walks you out and reminds you they're closing. And there's always a mess left by people who have been walking around all day, eating snacks and dropping popcorn to the floor. But now, everything is clean and peaceful, as if the movie theater isn't open at all. You check the bathrooms. No one's there. The lights are dimmed, but you can see where you're going. And still, everything looks kind of creepy with no one around. Hello? You try calling for people a couple of times. No answer. You follow the exit sign and get to the closed door. Temporarily closed because of renovation. Huh? How long is that temporarily? You start panicking and then suddenly get angry. How could the staff forget to wake you up? You start yelling, trying to open the door, but nothing works. You check your phone. Of course, it's off. You forgot to charge it. Then you suddenly hear some noise coming from one of the halls. You start shivering. Is it possible that someone else is trapped here too? You slowly move toward the hall and cautiously open the door. But it's just the beginning of another movie. This hall is empty too. Trying to distract yourself, you get popcorn, candies, soda, and even some ice. Finally, you're on time to get the best seat. Oh boy, that was epic! You were still sitting and laughing at some of those jokes you heard when suddenly a new movie starts. Great, why not see that one too? Workers will probably get here in the morning anyway. Your friends are going to be so jealous when they find out you've spent a night in the movie theater for free. 2 more movies later, and you realize you have no idea what time it is, but you feel very tired. Tomorrow's a new day, it'll get better. Grr, still no news. Nobody's come. The noise coming from your stomach is getting louder, so you go and grab some new snacks. Time for some more movies. The marathon that you've always wanted to take part in. You hit the first hall. A comedy is on. You realize each hall shows its own movie genre, and when a movie finishes, a new one immediately starts. At one point, the screen always goes white. It's your cue that it's time to go to sleep. Days pass by with you waiting for workers every morning and watching new movies every day. There's some old movies too, in different languages and from different countries. Your daily routine is always the same. You get up and have breakfast. You found a large stock of sandwiches in the fridge. After watching several movies, you walk around and explore the place. Then lunch, some more movies, dinner, and it's already bedtime. You feel completely hypnotized by all the movies you watch. Some make you laugh so hard you can't fall asleep afterwards because you keep thinking about their plots. Others bring tears to your eyes. Some make you think. And there are movies that scare you so much that instead of falling asleep, you get up every 5 minutes to check every suspicious noise you hear. Your life doesn't change. No one comes. Every day is the same. At first, you still try to count how many days you're trapped at the movie theater, but after a while, you lose track of time. Your eyes have become red from staring at the screen for hours on end. You sometimes feel terrified when looking at yourself in the bathroom mirror. Your skin has gone pale. You've gained some extra weight, and your shoulders have become rounded from sitting and sleeping in an uncomfortable position. From time to time, you try to work out and add some healthy habits to your life. But most of the time, you feel as if you're the main character of some weird movie, the one where you can't figure out what's real and what's not. You keep seeing things out of the corner of your eye, but when you turn around, there's nothing. You decide not to watch scary movies anymore. And then you accidentally find yourself in a seat, waiting for the next movie to start, and before you know it, the movie has you hooked. And you can't stop watching even though you know you won't be able to sleep at night. You start feeling increasingly lonely. Movie characters become your only friends. You constantly talk to them in your head, or even out loud. The silence after you stop is horrible. And the dark corners of the movie theater seem even scarier at such moments. Your stomach hurts. You're sick and tired of snacks, candies, sandwiches, and popcorn. Unbelievable, but the only thing you're craving is a bowl of warm soup. You don't enjoy movies anymore. Nothing seems funny, sad, or even scary. You often watch a movie not knowing what it's about. It feels as if you're stuck on a deserted island, but kinda worse. There, you'd at least have beaches, sunsets, palm trees, and maybe even a chance to escape after a while. You miss fresh air, sunlight, the feeling of rain on your skin. You close the doors of the movie theater halls and stand next to the ticket office. You're done with opening credits, movie music, your favorite actors. You don't want anything to do with movies. You start exploring the place, paying even more attention to details than you did before. You enter all the halls one by one and try to find new exit options. You start to lose hope, but then you remember something from the movie you saw a couple of days before and run to the bathroom. Here's the vent. It's now or never. It's pretty high. 2 garbage cans. Great, maybe you'll reach it now. Your construction keeps swinging, but you somehow manage to crawl into the hole before the garbage can tower crashes down. You have to get through an entire maze up there before you, finally, get out. Ah, a warm, nice night. It feels as if this is the first time you've taken a deep breath in over a year. The movie theater isn't in the city center, so you start walking home. When you arrive, your roommate can barely believe his eyes. Have you got back from Aruba? He sounds surprised. You have no idea what he's talking about. He says, you were disappointed with your job and didn't know what to do, so you told everyone you needed something different, maybe a couple of months on Aruba or something like that. So we all thought you wanted to disappear for a while and then get in touch with people again. Your phone was off for a year and you didn't reply on social media. No, it wasn't Aruba. The movie theater, all kinds of movies from all over the world, lots of popcorn, the renovation. No one ever came. You try to tell your roommate the story. You're hurrying, missing words, skipping parts of the story, but he's just looking at you, confused. You decide to just show him the place, but when you get there, he doesn't want to come closer. That place has been closed for years. I can't remember ever seeing it open. There's a story about a guy who owned it. He was a great movie fan and wanted to collect movies from all over the world. He was gonna renovate this movie theater, but then he suddenly disappeared. No one knew what had happened. The theater was closed down and has been under renovation since then. People have heard noises coming from that building, but no one wanted to come any closer to investigate. Oh, how did you end up in such a place? You suddenly notice someone move near the theater. They start walking towards you. You try to run away, but you can't move. What's going on? You jolt awake in your seat. Was it all just a dream? Credits on the screen mean the movie you've been watching is over. The hall is empty, and you quickly leave it. No one is there. Oh no, not again! Hello? You yell in panic. Silence. And then... Yes? Oh no! Your cat knocked down your mug. Coffee is all over your expensive rug. But let's freeze time for a couple moments and see exactly how long it will take for coffee to spill on the floor. In regular time, it should take about a second for the initial knockdown of the mug and for gravity to do its job. Your cat is giving those menacing eyes while doing it. Yikes! 24 or 25 frames per second means that a video you see on the screen looks exactly like people moving in real life. When the first ever movies were made, cameras didn't have the technology to support 25 frames per second. That's why the movements were sped up and exaggerated. Fast forward to the present day, and we have technology that can capture the tiniest details. With the new cameras, we can watch a video with 90,000 frames per second. If you play it back at 25 FPS, every second will last an hour. Some things might seem pretty boring, but sometimes 1 second can fit in a lot of exciting events. So, if your cat knocks down your mug and it's free-falling on your rug, you'll see every single drop spilling out and about to hit the ground. In a world where each second in real time lasts an hour, everyday little things practically freeze in time. You get an hour to do whatever you want when 1 second lasts an hour. You place the mug back on the table and move your cat to another room. Of course, you pick up all the suspended liquid in the air and put it back in the mug. You notice a hummingbird outside fluttering around some flowers and having its lunch. A hummingbird can flap its wings between 10 to 80 times per second while hovering. You stand right next to it and see the details of its wings and every flapping move it makes. A bee is collecting some pollen from a flower. You head over there and notice its wings are also humming in high definition. A fly buzzes around you, but you just walk past it. You see your neighbor casually walking his dog on a leash. The dog is about to chase a stray cat, so you can see its eyes bulging out and the cat running away. In your time, you already spent around 15 minutes, which barely amounts to a second in real life. Your body is still acting on its own time, and you're starting to feel hungry. You grab a small snack from your kitchen, keeping an eye on that hummingbird flapping its wings outside. You still have around 45 minutes in your new time. You decide to use them wisely and do some chores in the house to save yourself some actual real time. You open the faucet to do the dishes, but there's no water coming out of it. You remember it takes time for it to start running. You notice the first drop about to fall down, but it's happening way too slowly in your new time. So you decide to move on to other things, like dusting off some of the shelves. You move your duster and broom across the shelf. Dust slowly lifts in the air and stays hanging there. You can study it in every detail while it's floating like smoke. You stand back and try to catch the dust balls in the air and throw them. You realize trying to dust things off makes no sense at this point. You still have 35 minutes left and you don't know what to do. You want to check your phone, but the LED screen takes forever to light up. It takes a total of a little more than 8 minutes for light to travel from the sun to Earth. This means that if you find yourself in this slow-motion world at sunrise, it will take 20 days for the sun to reach you. That's a lot of waking hours. When you switch on the lights in your room, the light travels so fast, there's not enough time to process it, let alone see it happening. This number changed its value over the centuries, but the scientific community settled the debate for this. If you were living in such conditions, it might be the only way to measure the speed of light correctly. The number that was given is just an estimate based on the feasible physics we have. The first things to know when measuring the speed of light are the distance between 2 points and the time it takes for an object to travel between point A and point B. With distance divided by time, you'll have the speed of light. A good way of measuring the speed of light is by using mirrors and light beams. You might get a controlled environment for the experiment with equal distance and equal speed. But the main flaw is that we'll get the light beam's round trip from point A to point B rather than just the light beam's one-way trip from A to B. The reason why this is important is that the speed of light bouncing back from point B to point A may not be equal to that from initial point A to point B. Yeah, I know it's confusing, but let me break it down to make it simpler. You're sitting on a train, waiting to go home after a long day at work. The train arrives perfectly on time. As it starts moving, you fall asleep in your seat. A moment before that, you check the clock and see it's exactly 9 p.m. After a while, you wake up in the exact same spot you were the moment you fell asleep. But this time, it's 11 p.m. You slept through the whole ride and have to wait till you get home. We assume that it takes the train 1 hour from the train station to your home and another hour from your home back to the train station. This sounds logical when connecting this to light beams, but Albert Einstein said otherwise. He assumed that space and time were absolute and the speed of light could vary. In the case of the train ride, Albert Einstein would have said it's possible that the trip from the train station to your house took 1 hour and 59 minutes and 1 minute from your house back to the train station. It can be of any value. Some scientists didn't support this idea initially, but it kept popping up a lot. So the question is, how do we measure the speed of light without the return trip? We could probably use those high-speed cameras to capture it frame by frame until we get a definitive result, but it's not that simple. We won't know for sure because the light we see from the lens is already a reflection of the actual light. We don't see it in its purest form. Unfortunately, there is no way to measure the real speed of light at the moment. The number scientists came up with is just a way to conceive it without really knowing its actual value. We need that number to do calculations in math and physics to understand our world better. Back in the land where 1 second equals 1 hour, The laws of physics work in a different way, and you can watch every process step by step. You return to your kitchen and try to light up the stove to see how the fire starts. You can watch the sparks form with a tiny flame in the making. There's some water around it, slowly turning into vapor. If 60 seconds is 1 hour, then 1 minute will last for 2.5 days, and an hour will last about 5 months. 1 day will last just under a decade, and 1 month will be around 300 years long. A full year will be equal to around 3,600 regular years. In this reality, our bodies will age according to how they function internally. So if your body's lifespan extended for many years, and 365 days would be equal to 3,600 years, all that time wouldn't even be enough for you to grow out a ponytail if you had a buzz cut. If you think about it, your life is a lot like a video game. You could say it's like a role-playing game most of all. All you need to do is add the right icons to your screen, like your health and energy bars. There's your inventory as well, with your phone, wallet, and keys in it. And of course, everyone's got a skill bar. But let's start from the very beginning. Even when you're a baby, the game difficulty is already set to hard. All your skills are at level 0, and your health bar is tiny, which is why you only sleep or eat most of the time to make sure it grows. When you reach level 1, you unlock the ability to walk. But the world map is still closed to you because there are lots of dangers you're just not ready for yet. It turns out this game has a really long demo mode called Childhood. Most game features are locked for now. Nearly all of your actions are set for you by your parents. They're like quest givers who help you gain the experience you need to make progress. Ignoring their instructions can make leveling up real tough. But if you're polite enough, they'll give you your first gold coins. As long as you're a child, you'll constantly be leveling up, but of course it takes a really long time. Your health and skill bars get bigger as you go to school. It's not the most exciting magic academy, but the students there still carry out quests and learn new abilities. Congratulations, you've reached level 18. Now we're really getting into this role-playing game. You're facing a classic video game choice. You have to select your character class and the skill path you like the most to help you conquer the world. While lots of games have different character classes, most of us end up being the same one in real life. The adventurer who travels the world doing different tasks to earn gold and experience. And you still have tons of quests to do. That's right, it's also time to leave behind the safe part of the map where you grew up. This unfamiliar world is a little like a dark forest full of enemies. The trouble is, the bad guys out there are sometimes hard to overcome. These monsters have names like responsibility, work, and money. They keep coming back even when you thought you'd finally learned how to deal with them. But if you didn't slack off at school, one day you'll overcome them all. Imagine you're in a restaurant and your date asks you if you like animals. You confidently reply, "I love cats." Your date sighs and says, "I'm more of a dog person." Quick, go to the menu, reload the checkpoint, and change your answer. Sorry, but you can't do that. Remember that this is one tough video game, and you're still playing on hard mode. This means that you only have one life. You can't just save and then go back if something goes wrong. Every decision and every action has consequences for you and the other players around you. But that just makes it more interesting. Interaction with other players is one of the most important parts of the game. But remember, you need to be a little careful here. The admins are a lot stricter than for other games. Breaking the rules and upsetting people could lead to a completely different game mode. And there isn't much to do in this version, except look at 4 walls and a grating on the window. On the plus side, the character customization in this game is fantastic. You can change your hairstyle and hair color, get tattoos and piercings, really anything you want. Oh, and the clothes? There's just no limit to the designer's imagination. With each new level you reach, you open up new abilities and new quests. You encounter tougher challenges, but get better rewards, like more gold or a bigger house. But there's one quest line that's really unique in this game. When you feel experienced enough, you can start a family and even create a new character. You'll transfer some of your skills to them and be their companion in the game until they're ready to go into the dark forest to fight the monsters on their own. You'll never get to control this character though. In this game, the plot isn't always about you. The AI does what it wants. There's a bunch of other stuff about this game that's really unusual as well. Let's take the graphics. They're just incredible, like Ultra HD. And the resolution is absolutely stunning. But the gameplay is pretty complicated compared to other games. You need to check your health bar all the time, build relationships with other characters, earn gold, and make sure you rest on time. But the story is the most interesting part. It's totally up to you what happens. Sure, it can be boring if you just lie on the couch and watch other people play, but try hard enough and your character could become really important. So you need to put the work in if you want it to be an interesting experience. But there are lots of cool things in other adventure games that are missing from this one. For example, fast travel. Imagine what it would be like if we had this option. You wake up tired, but you have to go to work. Just go over to the portal and select the right location. Boom! You're already there! I think it's definitely time someone invented this. And we could sure use some cheat codes as well. Of course, no one likes a cheater on the server, but imagine how cool it would be. Don't have enough money? Just type in the cheat and watch the numbers in your bank account double. Feeling sick? Don't waste your health potion, just use the cheat and your health bar is full again. But I've got to admit, playing it life like this would become boring. Imagining life as a video game helps us understand it a lot. A lot of what we do is about setting small tasks and looking for ways to accomplish them. With rewards and experience, you move on to more challenging quests. Your skills, gold, and health bars aren't infinite though, and you need to manage your resources carefully to reach the next level. Some people think that computer games can be really harmful. They say that gamers spend too much time in their virtual worlds and forget about reality. But there are actually a lot of benefits from playing games from time to time. Many of them are designed in the same way as our real lives, and they have plenty of features that teach us useful things. Games always reward us for our hard work. Playing a game from start to finish and making all that progress along the way can help you understand that it takes time and energy to get what you want. Hard work always pays off. Another useful thing that games provide is communication. Hundreds of millions of people play online games that bring them together in groups and teams. They have to achieve cohesion and use good teamwork to pass through a dungeon or win a match. Competitive games can help people learn to communicate and make compromises. And although it's all just for fun, this is exactly what we have to learn to do in real life as well. Only instead of a dungeon with a scary monster, we have to survive a day at the office with an angry boss. And one more thing. It's been proven that a person's strategic thinking and decision-making can improve when they play video games. In one experiment, a group of 50 young adults who had never played games before were asked to play an action game for 50 hours. Another group played a slow strategy game. The results showed that the action game helped to improve the young people's perception of visual information. Their decision-making skills also improved. This was thanks to the fast pace of the action game. In these kind of games, a large number of events happen one after another, forcing the player to act and make decisions. This can have an effect on people's real lives.
You can feel the waves brushing up against you. You wake up and see that you're a giant, standing up on 2 feet in the sea. So much water starts dripping down like rain. You're way taller than the Statue of Liberty. You look at your hands and compare them to a small hot dog stand below you. You pick it up and fit it on the palm of your hand before crushing it by accident. Suddenly, you feel a slight sting on your ankle. You look down and see that some people are shoving you away, while most people are running away in fear. Some are taking pictures of you, while others are shouting at you to go away. You take a step to the main road and crush a car with no one inside. The people below you disperse like ants. You walk further into the city and notice there's a huge wall surrounding the rest of the city. You walk towards the city, crushing everything below you on your way. You see other giants stand up on the horizon near the sea and walk toward the barricaded city. Something is calling all of you to go there. Many people stand on the wall and sound the alarm. More people join them to defend the wall. Others evacuate and hide in tiny holes. You notice some of the giants have very odd features and disproportionate limbs. Some are walking on all fours, while some have really long arms that can reach anything. You move a bit when you accidentally almost step on someone. She stands still. You pick her up and put her on your eye level. Both of you are maintaining eye contact. You place her on your shoulder while the other giants walk past you towards the city. They push and shove you while you're standing still. They break through the wall without any effort and ruin the city. For some reason, you snap out of this trance that was drawing you to the city. You turn around and head back to the sea with the woman still on your shoulder. You reach the deepest end of the sea and are still walking. The woman is scared and doesn't know what to do. You place her on a small island and stare at her. She can't see the sun because your head is in the way. For a while, you leave her there while you bask in the sun, trying to make sense of why you're on this planet and what made you want to save this woman. Nighttime comes and you're feeling sleepy. The woman falls asleep under a tree. You stand still while the waves rock you back and forth. Suddenly, the waves get rougher and you feel something moving in the water. You look around, but it's too dark to see what's going on. You quickly pick up the woman and place her on your shoulder. She wakes up. You see the giants swimming and walking towards you, screaming. They start chasing you, trying to catch up with you. You walk as fast as you can, disturbing the water and breaking the ocean floor. You see a cargo ship in front of you and move it aside carefully, not to damage it. But the giants chasing after you don't seem to care about the ship and sink it while trying to get to you. You feel you've reached shallower grounds, and so you start running. You're in a new country that's been leveled by the giants. The buildings are completely flat, and the debris is scattered like small breadcrumbs. In the distance, you can see some more giants waking up by the beach and staring at you. They can smell the human on your shoulder and start chasing you. They're also strange looking and have unusual features. There's no place to hide in the open, so you head to the mountains. Over there, you can hide in the valley near a large waterfall. You notice that your skin starts changing color, and you blend in with the environment. Every giant has a unique feature for them to discover. Apparently, yours is changing your skin color. The woman on your shoulder is asleep. You look at her and start feeling a sense of sympathy, like looking at a pet. You're not the same as the other giants. You don't crave destruction, but instead want to help humans. You hear some giants walking in the distance. You take a peek and see some new giants that are 3 times bigger than you. They're patrolling around looking for you, and they're getting closer. You accidentally make some noise, and they spot you. They start running after you, and you get up and start running away. You're sprinting through some rough terrain. Some other giants jump in front of you, while the ones chasing you stand behind you. You're surrounded by 5 giants that are all 3 times bigger than you. You place the woman down in a safe place and prepare to protect yourself. They try to tackle you from all sides, but you jump and dodge them. The biggest one gets his hands on you and tries to pin you down, but you slip out and push him away. The rest of them try to catch you, but you move and avoid their grasp. You see a steep cliff and head over there while they're following you. You have your back to the cliff while they're inching their way to you. They jump at you, but you duck down. They fall over the cliff and into the ocean. The biggest one is still there since it knew what you were up to. One-on-one, you have no chance against him. You can smell the woman trying to run away into a stampede of giants heading your way. Your skin color changes, and you slip through the alpha giant and rush to the woman to save her. The alpha isn't as fast as you, so you can easily outrun it, but the stampede is about to trample her. You jump in front of them and catch the woman. The other giants are startled and angry because you saved the woman. All of the giants know about you now and are out to get you. A few days later, and they seem to be off your tail. You're now in the middle of the desert. The woman is still on your shoulder. She built herself a small shelter where she could sleep without being disturbed. You're trying your best to get out of the desert since anyone can spot you. You're tired and are in need of water. You're barely carrying your feet in the sand. You sit down, trying to keep your head up, but the sun is too intense. You're sweating a lot, and it's dripping down on the woman. She tries to speak with you, but you can't understand what she's saying. You're getting weaker and can't move anymore. It's only noon, so the sun is at its peak. You create a shady spot for the woman with your hand to protect her from the burning sun. The day passes, and the night arrives. You spent all day in the sun and are now in the desert cold. It's freezing. You cup the woman and put your other hand on top to create a warm dome to protect her from the cold wind. It's pitch dark, and you don't know where you're going. You just keep walking and stepping on sand dunes everywhere you go. It's daytime again. You see a large footprint of a giant like no other. Looks like it's even bigger than the huge one by the cliff. You run away as fast as you can, but there's nowhere to hide. Suddenly, you see it standing still. It towers over every other giant you've ever encountered. It's sleeping and gaining energy from the sun. Some giants are accustomed to different climates and terrains. This one is tall, and it can reach the sun for more sunlight. You tiptoe around it, making sure not to wake it, but it can feel everything around it. It's startled and starts chasing you until you reach the ocean. He isn't a fan of water, so he stays on the surface, screaming at you as you swim off.
Now, if you've ever watched a cartoon about an elephant, you've surely noticed a scene where this huge animal is running from a small mouse. That's because the myth surrounding them, the one about elephants being scared of mice, is as big and powerful as these animals are. It turns out elephants do not have any particular dread of these small rodents, but they don't see well and tend to move a bit slowly. So they may be spooked by a faster-moving animal or even a bird if they're caught off guard. Speaking of myths surrounding animals, we've all been told at one point that bats are blind. In reality, these small flying creatures can see, but their vision is reduced to black and white hues. But at night, they can see way better than we do. Their vision lacks the color receptors that we have, but in low light, we don't see much color either. Bats have a built-in sonar and can navigate their surroundings better at night. That's because they calibrate their direction based on how sounds bounce back from the nearest object. The myth about bats being blind probably appeared because these animals don't see as well as we do in daylight. If an insect falls from a certain height, does it sustain any damage? Well, the subject is a bit complex, but let's take ants for example. Ants don't get any injuries during such a fall, and that's because they're so small. A lot of other insects can fall for miles and still be fine. The explanation has a lot to do with math and physics, but to put it simply, so I can understand it, most insects are not heavy enough to impact the surface they hit. More so, while falling, they don't actually gather speed, they slow down. An ant's relative large surface area for that tiny weight creates a lot of drag as the bug moves through the air, so it slows down as it reaches the end of its flight. There's a similar myth surrounding pennies falling from a tall building. Some people claim that when a penny is dropped from a great height, it speeds up, and it can end badly for a person in its way. In reality, because of its size and shape, a penny falling down from a tall building can cause the same damage as a falling leaf. Should it fall on your head, you'd only feel a tiny bit of pressure. As it descends, the penny collides with air particles, which prevents the small object from accelerating. And of course, that's a drag. That resistance of air surrounding it is the reason why the penny cannot harm anyone. There are some other examples that may get a bit more dangerous, like a ballpoint pen, for example. It all depends on its design and the way it falls down to the ground. It can spin, flutter, or just go straight down, depending on the way of descent. A dropping pen might even damage a sidewalk and cause some injuries to pedestrians. Now, remember the 5-second rule? Yeah, that's a myth too. Even if you picked up that cookie as soon as you dropped it on the floor, eating it is still not safe. Bacteria can get on your food very fast. Pieces of food with wet surfaces, like fruit or a slice of tart, can pick up harmful organisms from the ground even faster. Just because you've just finished scrubbing your floors doesn't necessarily make them clean. Some germs can survive for longer periods of time, and you need very harsh chemicals to get rid of them. If you drop something while enjoying your dinner, your safest bet will be to just throw it away. You know how some people say that hitting the snooze button gives you some extra time to rest? Not only is it untrue, but hitting the snooze button can also reduce your sleep quality. Those 10-minute intervals of sleep you get over and over again aren't the good type of sleep. It's fragmented. If anything, it'll make you feel more tired during the day. More so, you can actually sleep too much, and oversleeping makes you even sleepier and can affect your metabolism and your energy levels. Not to mention, it can be a real pain for people sharing the same bed or room with you. I know, breaking up with the snooze button can be a real heartbreak, so let's see what you can do. First of all, set a realistic alarm. If you're more of a night owl, don't force yourself to wake up really early in the morning if you don't have to. Find a sleeping schedule that works for you, and most importantly, stick to it. Get out of bed as soon as you wake up. The change in posture will trigger the right chemicals in your body that will eliminate your need to go back to sleep. As a last resort, you can even move your alarm clock across the room. If you need to get out of bed to hit the snooze button, you're less likely to get back to sleep. You might have heard that lightning never strikes the same place twice. Well, this information is also dangerously wrong, as lightning often occurs in the exact same place, or at least nearby, twice. Also, if you're ever in an open field during a thunderstorm, the best course of action is to find shelter. Don't touch anything mechanical or electrical either. If you're indoors, stay away from the windows. Should the storm start while you're kite flying, best to postpone it until it's over. Let's move on to those myths about the human body. Some people say we only use 10% of our brain at any given time. This information is false. I only use 5%. Actually, our brain is busy all day long and through the night as well. It never turns off completely, not even when we sleep. Our brain works like a small factory. Each area is designed to help us with a particular task. Most of the time, our brain is preoccupied with doing things we aren't even aware of, like breathing, walking, or digesting food. Each time you learn a new language or get better at a certain skill, you don't unlock a new part of your brain because it's never idle. But depending on the activity you're doing, you may be utilizing some portions of your brain in a new way. Now, pet lovers may have heard this one. A dog's mouth is cleaner than that of a human. Meth alert, their mouths are much dirtier than ours. Dogs can also carry a lot of diseases, especially if they are not well taken care of. Apart from that, a dog uses its mouth for a whole lot more things than we do. The animal needs it to get to know its surroundings better since it doesn't have opposable thumbs. So they end up using it to pick up things from the ground. And these things haven't been washed, obviously. They also tend to lick all sorts of things that aren't necessarily sanitary, like garbage, floors, or their own paws and stuff. As endearing as it might be, try to remember this the next time your dog rushes to lick your face. You know, we have many more senses than the classic 5 we've all heard about: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. Apart from these, we have at least 4 others. We human mammals have proprioception, which is our ability to orient ourselves in space. Then we have thermoception, which is our ability to estimate our own temperature and figure out if we're hot or cold. We have equilibrioception. That's our sense of balance. Lastly, we have interoception, or the sense of our own physiological condition. It's the sense that allows us to figure out whether we're hungry or sleepy. Here's a cool party trick. Next time someone talks to you about how we humans have 5 senses, barge in and say you have 9. Before you start explaining what each of them does, let them wonder if you're a superhero with supernatural powers. Imagine a 10-story high wall of water with a foamy white peak smashing into the shore. That's the mental image we all have when we think of tsunamis. But is it accurate? And if it is, why don't daredevil surfers ride them? That's a huge wave begging to be caught. Fear of heights, top speeds, because they choose life? Don't want to smack right into a building when that thing crashes into the shore and floods through the streets? But they're supposed to be daredevils. And how cool would it be if you, with your cheeks flapping in the wind, could ride that tsunami right into your 10th floor apartment? Just don't forget to leave the window open when you head out. No, seriously, where would anyone get the idea to surf a tsunami? I know where. Movies. All those disaster flicks depicting tsunamis as monstrous waves. It's like they cut that wave from a summertime fun surfer movie, pasted it into their own, and blew the image way up. And don't forget about that blue-gray filter. There we go, our disaster tsunami blockbuster is ready. Leave it to the filmmakers to overlook the details. Realistically, the difference between tsunamis and surfing waves is as ridiculously huge as that movie wave about to take out that skyscraper. You can surf on a massive wave, as long as it's the right kind. And that surfable kind can even be bigger than tsunamis. Some surfers ride them every year, but I'll get into that a bit later. So, what is the difference between this right kind of wave and tsunamis? Well, in surfing, every wave has a face or wall. That's the sweet spot each surfer looks for to ride down from. Like going downhill on a snowboard, only you aren't strapped to the board and there's always an avalanche behind you. And there could be sharks right under your feet, waiting to clean up whatever's left of you when you wipe out. Sorry, that got a little, terrifying. Surfing's fun, but I'll watch from the beach, thanks. Tsunamis aren't like this at all. Imagine a tsunami more like a giant tide that comes in a matter of minutes. Yes, the water will likely rise 30, sometimes 60 feet higher than it usually does. But it won't do it as a wave with that much needed wall. It'll be something like a hill of water that rolls in. Think of it like a giant gloopy lava traveling over the shore, only faster. No, even faster. Wait, that's even more terrifying than the shark thing. Never mind. For a normal surfable wave to appear, all you need is the wind to blow. Tsunamis, however, are born by some relatively rare events like earthquakes and underwater volcano eruptions. This is also where the difference in force is coming from. Tsunamis aren't always bigger than regular waves, but they are much more powerful. So every time they come, they tend to bring disaster with them. When an underwater earthquake happens, it produces unbelievable amounts of energy that literally punches the water. This energy has to go somewhere, and that somewhere is towards the shore in the form of a tsunami. In fact, next time you're doing the dishes and in need of some fun, you can make your own mini tsunami. Just place your hand fully underwater and move it up and down, even just a little bit. You'll see ripples on the surface. This is what happens in the ocean after an earthquake, but on a much larger scale. Tsunamis gain incredible speed from the ocean bed moving or shifting up to 200 miles per hour. So those things hit land going as fast as an arrow through the air? Well, that's why I said cheeks flapping in the wind as you ride that gnarly wave. But no, seriously, they aren't going nearly that speed when they crash onto the shore. They lose a lot of that energy as they meet the rise of the ocean floor near the coastline and any underwater obstacle in their path. When you surf into your apartment window, you'll only be going about 30 miles per hour. They might slow down, but the wave grows bigger as it gets closer to the coast. Mega tsunamis are those 100-footers that'll get you into your 10th floor flat. The average height for most is only about 10 to 30 feet. Yeah, only. Compare that to a normal surfing wave. It's usually 6 feet high and only goes about 13 miles per hour. That's why tsunamis are still fast and big enough to cause major damage. But the surfing ones are no walk in the park either. Those kinds can be dangerous too. Just like tsunamis, wind-driven waves will rise when they hit an underwater obstacle near the shore. This obstacle, be it an underwater ridge or coral reef, is the main source of danger for surfers. If a surfer can't hang, they'll be dragged into the deep where sharp reefs lie. That and hitting the water doesn't exactly feel like a gentle pat on the back for a job well done. Okay, I get it. You can't surf a tsunami. But we're in what-if territory, where the rules don't apply, and my imagination likes to run wild. So let's have some fun tackling this challenge. First things first. Since the tsunami isn't a usual wave, we need to find a way to turn it into a surfing spot. You know, somehow get it to form a wall. One thing that could work is an artificial obstacle under the water that'll be specifically designed to strip the tsunami of its monstrous energy. Sorry, we'll lose some of that epic speed, but we need to make it rise higher. The obstacle will have to be a massive structure, but still deep enough that our surfer doesn't bog his head if he wipes out. Next, we need to take further safety measures. In this case, some sturdy gear. Typical surfing wetsuits are made of neoprene, a flexible material that can protect you only from cold water and help you stay afloat. But lucky you! A new technology recently emerged, a wetsuit that can resist a shark bite. It's like Kevlar vests in a way. All the tests show that it can't be punctured with sharp objects, and it prevents bones from breaking. Unfortunately, bruises from blunt impact are inevitable. It's tsunami surfing we're talking about after all. And finally, the board itself. If riding a normal surf wave is a fair challenge of your sense of balance, then keeping yourself on that board while riding a tsunami might just be impossible. Remember what if? Okay, let's throw some stabilizers on that bad boy. There, now you're ready. You're ready, aren't you? Don't chicken out on me now. Come on, people have done this. They do it all the time in Nazir, Portugal. Well, they don't surf tsunamis, of course, but big wave pro surfers go there every year to challenge Nazir swell. And this 30-foot tsunami you're about to ride is just a pup compared to the biggest wave ever surfed. It was 80 feet high, more than twice the height of a telephone pole. Brazilian pro surfer Rodrigo Coja broke this record in 2017. Maya Gabeira set the women's record by conquering a 68-foot wave in 2018. And I don't think that's the limit, because waves in Nazir can reach 100 feet at times. Hey, the reason why waves in Nazir are so big lies deep underneath the ocean surface. This place has one of the largest underwater canyons in Europe. It's a 140-mile-long, 3-mile-deep gash in the seabed that pushes insane amounts of seismic energy to produce massive waves by the time they hit the shore. The canyon alone triples wave heights here, but there's also strong ocean currents and powerful swell winds in this region. So, it's like the perfect storm for surfers who like a real challenge. Ah, such a beautiful day, isn't it? It is, until it all goes boom. That's gravity disappearing for just a second. Let's recap the events from the smallest to the largest scale. We'll start with you. Yes, you. If gravity is lost for a single second, unfortunately, you'll most probably be no more. Thing is, gravity doesn't only keep you anchored to the Earth, it also holds all the atoms inside your body together. If this force completely disappears, even for such a short period of time, chances are you'll simply fly apart. Blech! If you don't, then you'll start floating above the ground. Not high though, because 1 second isn't enough to fly too far away. If the gravity stops working only for you, then you'll levitate a little over an inch upwards and then fall back without consequences. Your thoughts will be occupied by the lack of oxygen in your lungs though, because with no gravity, your blood will stop pumping. Now, if it affects the surrounding objects as well, you'll be lucky to be away from home because everything around you will float too. And after a second, all your cutlery, your bed, your wardrobes, etc. will smash down on the floor. Luckily, buildings and trees will probably stay put because they're strongly rooted in the ground by their own means. Still, the picture won't be pretty, and it'll be up to you to clean that mess. Aw, shucks. By the way, you surely know our planet is spinning and hurtling through space at mind-blowing speeds. So there's a chance that if gravity does turn off for a second, everything on the Earth's surface will succumb to inertia and fly horizontally at several hundred miles per hour. That will be an even bigger mess, but only if everything retains its mass. If it doesn't, then it should be no problem. Maybe. Yet the real trouble starts if the gravity disappears for the entire planet. The force of gravity is equal to the pressure from inside the Earth, and if the outside pressure is gone, nothing will stop the molten innards of our planet from bursting onto the surface. An immense earthquake will begin all over the Earth as the tectonic plates move upwards. Also, all the world's volcanoes will probably erupt too, since the lava will be pumped up with the pressure. If such a mega eruption occurs, no life will survive except the sturdiest of creatures, such as tardigrades. The clouds of volcanic ash will spread across the whole planet, blocking the sun. At first, the temperatures will rise due to the greenhouse effect, but then the planet will cool down and a new ice age will begin. Optimistic. This will all happen even if the gravity returns after a second, because the motion will already start and it'll take a more powerful force to calm it down. Up above, the atmosphere of the Earth will simply evaporate. The air we breathe is also kept around the planet by the force of gravity, so if it pops, we'll have nothing to fill our lungs with. When the gravity comes back in a second, the atmosphere will eventually gather itself back, but the damage will have been done already. It will take a lot of time for the air to return to its original composition. Meanwhile, in space, things are even worse. As far as we know, everything in the universe is held together by gravity, including other planets, stars, galaxies, and even galactic clusters. On a cosmic scale, our planet is but a fleck of dust, having a really tiny mass. The Sun is incredibly huge by comparison. It's 109 times bigger in diameter and over 300,000 times more massive, which is why its gravity is able to keep so many planets in its orbit. And now that enormous force is just poof. Even though it's only a second, the immense pressure of gas from inside our star makes it explode, sending a heat wave far greater than anything we've ever experienced in history. Now, the Sun will most likely survive because a second is too short a period of time for the star to inflate too much. But the same can't be said about Mercury, Venus, Earth, and probably Mars too. Mercury, being the closest, will probably be simply incinerated. The temperature on Venus is already extremely high, but it will spike even more, scorching its surface. Good thing it's not inhabited. And bad thing that Earth is. The heat wave from the Sun will probably obliterate our atmosphere first and then do the same with the surface. So, from the looks of it, nothing will be able to survive again. Oh well. But that's not even close to the end. Our Sun is one of the smallest stars in the universe, the biggest known one being about 1,500 times larger and more massive. If such a giant loses its gravity for a second, everything around it for millions upon millions of miles will simply disintegrate, including other smaller stars. But the objects with the most mass and, as a result, the most gravity are neutron stars and black holes. Both of them are extremely small for their mass, like me. But the pressure inside them is so immense that the loss of gravity for even a fraction of a second might mean a tremendous space explosion. And with a whole second, it's basically warranted. Nobody knows for sure, though, how black holes operate, so there's a chance that something else will happen with them, or nothing at all. Finally, on the largest scale, if gravity decides to take a second-long break, surprisingly, nothing much will happen. Planets will mostly retain their orbits, although they might change a little bit, and if we talk about galaxies or galactic clusters, those won't even notice anything. The biggest changes will be local because, as I said earlier, stars will explode, and the larger the blast, the more it will affect the neighboring celestial bodies. For example, if a star large enough sends a wave of energy in the direction of our solar system, it might send asteroids flying toward us from the Oort cloud. Those space rocks fall onto the Moon and even Earth quite regularly, but they're mostly rather small. The ones sent to us by a star explosion, however, might be a lot bigger and more dangerous. We will be protected by other planets, but still, the chances of collision will be a lot higher than normal. But who cares really? We'll be toast by then. Obviously, this is all just speculation. Nobody knows for sure what'll happen if gravity suddenly decides to stop working even for a second. What we know, though, is that it can't happen without numerous laws of physics being broken all at once. Scientists are pretty certain such a turning off is impossible altogether. For this to happen, everything in the universe will have to lose its mass first. Mass is the main reason things have gravity, so the heavier the object, the more gravity it has. Even you have it. It's just so small that you can't feel it. But if you were several million times more massive, you'd probably be the center of everyone's attention. Hey, I'd use that opportunity. So you come home after a long Friday at work and say to yourself, why can't the weekend be any longer? You dread going to work on Monday. It's only 2 days away and you have so much to do. And then, as soon as you turn on TV news, you hear the best announcement you could possibly imagine. The week has been extended to 10 days instead of 7. You start jumping for joy. You're thinking about a long weekend you're going to have, enough time to relax and maybe get out of town and go to the countryside. But it turns out you haven't listened to the end. Apparently, there will only be one extra day for the weekend. The other 2 days will be regular work days. But it doesn't sound too bad. 2 extra days in the office, but another full day added to the weekend. Why is there 7 days in a week and not 10 or 5? The answer is hidden back in the ancient days of Babylonia. People often looked at the sky in search of answers. They were quite observant and noticed that the moon had phases. Then they figured out it took 28 days for the moon to complete one cycle of these phases. Interestingly, these days, the cycle is 29.5 days. Anyway, the cycle begins with the new moon. That's when the moon isn't visible. The sun, the moon, and Earth are lined up in such a way that we only see the dark side of the moon. After that, it goes through the phases of half moon and crescent moon, and then it's the full moon. Starting from this point, the process is reversed: half moon, crescent moon, and finally it's the new moon again. The Babylonians divided the cycle, 28 days, into 4 parts. That's how they got 7 days, a week we still use today. Plus, when people looked at the sky, they saw 7 celestial bodies. Those were the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Of course, now we know there are many more planets, stars, and other space objects out there. But at that time, only these ones were close enough to observe. The day on Earth equals 1 full rotation of the planet around its axis. And a year is over when Earth makes 1 complete orbit around the Sun. It takes the planet 365 1/4 days. That's why there's an extra day every 4 years, February 29th. The year when it happens is called a leap year. But back to your story. It's now Friday and you're super excited. After all, you're going to have an extra day for relaxing this weekend, even though there will be 2 days of extra work. Oh, but it means that each month will have around 43 days. That will bring a total of 516 days in a single year. Everything you've already planned for this year will have to be changed. Summer vacations and winter holidays will be longer. People will spend more time at school, university, and at work. Can it mean that if there are 2 more working days, companies and corporations will have higher profits and employees increase productivity? Maybe. You're in your car, driving to your cabin by the lake. 3 days of fresh air and breathtaking sunsets. Pure bliss. As soon as you arrive, you dust off your rowboat and paddle toward the middle of the lake. Ah, finally some peace and quiet. The weekend is over all too soon. It's the evening of the 10th day of the week, and it's time to go back to the city. The next morning, you wake up to the reality of 7 days of work. You can't help thinking about the trip you had this past weekend. Soon, you figure out that 7 working days are exhausting. In most countries, people work 8 hours a day, but not in the Netherlands. There, people have around 6 hours of work a day and a total of 29 hours a week. This country officially has the shortest working week in the world. But you don't live in the Netherlands. It means you have a total of 56 working hours a week. You can handle the first 2 days easily, but on the 3rd day, you show up sleepy and drained, and you're not even halfway through the week. By Friday, you've missed some deadlines at work and showed up late for several meetings. You forgot your speech when giving presentations, and you haven't had a proper meal since the weekend. But you know the feeling. You've had it before when you still worked 5 days a week. So you power through and finish first the week, then the month. It doesn't get better though. Every time you go to the office, all you do is think about hiking and relaxing in your cabin. You look out of the window and see clear blue sky. As you shift your gaze to your computer screen, you feel dizzy. Your back is aching from all the sitting you've been doing, and your posture is worse than ever. Your boss isn't happy with your performance and urges you to up your game. But you can see that your colleagues are as worn out as you are, and they aren't coping with the situation any better. One day, you notice that everything and everyone in the office irritates you. This makes you snap at people. And it goes both ways. It seems that even your buddies, who you've been working with for more than 5 years, can't stand you. Being rude and forgetting to answer calls or emails doesn't help your case. 6 months later, you can barely look at your computer screen anymore. 3 days off aren't enough to compensate for the 7 working days. Everyone else in the office feels the same way. Many of your colleagues have already quit. They decided to find new jobs with better working conditions. You had to get glasses to work at the computer. With 7 days of straining your eyes week after week, your eyesight has become much worse. You keep reminding yourself the winter holidays are only 2 months away. But that's 86 days instead of 60 like before. Fast forward to the holidays. It's the final week before everyone goes on vacation. You can't stop dreaming about spending your free time at the beach. But then, an announcement comes out. For some mysterious reason, winter break has been cut short, which means you have to give up on your dream of surfing, sunbathing, and swimming in the ocean. You'll only be able to go as far as your cabin. What are you supposed to do there in the middle of winter? Build snow castles? Everyone around seems to be in despair, just like you. People are starting to lose hope. A professor who is used to teaching students 5 days a week now has to get ready for 7 days of study. It doesn't mean that semesters will only continue for a couple of months. They'll be as long as ever, or even longer. Summer vacations will remain the same too. A construction worker will be exhausted after 7 working days. Laying bricks, operating a crane or a jackhammer, and so on will become even more tiresome than before. Most building projects last for months, and when workers are tired and don't have enough rest for so long, mistakes are bound to happen. When it comes to construction, even the smallest mistake can cost a lot. You'll need more gasoline for your car, since you'll have to drive to work more often, 7 days a week instead of 5. And since there will be a high demand for gas, its price will eventually increase. Pretty soon, it will also lead to fuel shortages. More and more people will start to use public transport. Soon, it will be mostly powered by electricity. Overworking will change people's behavior. The average person with a regular job will be a lot more stressed and irritated. A 3-day-long weekend won't be able to compensate for 7 long working days. More and more people will go to doctors with their newly acquired problems. But doctors will also be working extra hours, and they'll have issues of their own. Most people who have to work 2 jobs to support their families will suffer the most. They won't be able to handle much greater pressure trying to make ends meet. People will have to commute more. Plants and factories will work non-stop 7 days a week instead of just 5. It will make air pollution worse. Plus, working longer hours, industries will need more natural resources. All you can hope for is that this insane experiment will finish as soon as possible. Oh boy, you find yourself in the mysterious ruins of an ancient city. You're the only member of the expedition who has managed to make it here. You're walking through a dark maze when you accidentally activate a trap. Whoa, that's a strange sound. Suddenly, a huge rock starts rolling towards you down the hallway. You run as fast as you can, jumping over debris. A final dash and… whew! This room looks like a treasury. Gold coins and gems are scattered everywhere. You go wide-eyed with astonishment. That's enough money to live the life of luxury for decades on end. But it's not the shiny gold that interests you. It's an old lamp that lies in the rubble. As soon as you pick it up, the lamp starts shaking and a huge genie jumps out of it.
You have one wish.
Yeah, just one because it's a lazy genie. No problem. You ask for so much money that you'll never be able to spend it all. The genie claps his hands and disappears. Ding! This is a message to your phone. Your bank account has been topped by 10000. Boy, that number doesn't even fit on the screen. You go back to the surface and pull out your phone. You're going to check who's the richest man on Earth now. Ah, there you are at the top of the page. And again, the number ends in 3 dots. Well, it's time to go home and start spending your money. The first thing on the list is a plane ticket. An extra legroom seat? Nah, too cheap. First class? The same. How about your own plane? Something like an Arabian prince would own. You opt for a huge Airbus 380 converted into a private jet. There's a spiral staircase, an elevator, 4 VIP rooms, a concert hall, a Turkish bath, and a parking lot. You press the pay button, and your plane's waiting for you on the landing strip. You check your bank account, and the number hasn't even changed. So, the genie didn't cheat. As you fly home, you wonder about other ways to spend your endless supply of money. A car? A house? You need some more time to mull it over. You land in your country and now you need to get home. Taking a bus or catching a cab is out of the question. You walk up to a newly purchased Bugatti. This car is one of a kind and cost $18.6 million. Your small apartment doesn't suit you anymore. You need something bigger. A skyscraper. So, the world's most expensive skyscraper has been the Abraj Al Bait in Saudi Arabia that cost $16 billion to build. But you invest $20 billion to break the record. The construction has started, but you still need somewhere to live. You buy a penthouse at 172 Madison Avenue in New York City for $100 million. You've already spent $17 billion, but it doesn't seem your bank account has changed. You feel bored. You decide to entertain yourself by buying the costliest things in the world. A watch with a bunch of the world's rarest diamonds? $55 million. Got it. One more car, this time an old-school Ferrari worth $70 million. It's yours. A baseball card that costs more than $3 million. Hey, why not? A $450 million painting created by Leonardo DiCaprio. Oops, I mean Leonardo da Vinci. It goes into the basket too. Wow, this shopping is so exhausting. Time to relax. Which means a private island. $610 million is the price of a huge island in Hawaii. It's the size of a large city, and now it's all yours. You aren't going to board your old plane to get to the island. You're buying a new one. It's a Boeing 747, the model presidents use when they need to fly somewhere. $660 million, and now it's all yours. Sitting on a luxury plane with a large team of flight attendants at your service, you feel like the world's #1 person. And you already imagine sailing around your new island, right? How could you forget about a yacht? The world's most expensive one is plated with gold and reportedly has some T-Rex bones in the bedroom. It took 3 years and 10 tons of solid gold to build, and you buy it for almost $5 billion. The island looks deserted. There's nothing here but golden beaches and lush greenery. But aren't you the richest man in the world? You decide to build yourself a palace. Click, and $3 billion, Buckingham Palace appears on the island. And one more for your guest, please. Now you're actually traveling around the beautiful island on your own yacht. But your face doesn't look happy. The entertainment for the rich is rather boring. You look up at the sky and think about flying to the stars. And here you are, standing on the launch pad near the rocket that's about to take you into space. You've paid $52 million to do it. But the International Space Station seems to be filled with nothing but research labs. Not too exciting. That's why you build a new $150 billion space station with lots of fun stuff and even a spa. You've already spent more money than all the richest people on the planet ever have, but your bank account still hasn't changed whatsoever. Your imagination is running amok. Ooh, Mars. You spend another $2.5 billion and become the first person to set foot on Mars. Well, red sands, steep mountains, craters? But there's nothing to do, even for you, the man with an unlimited amount of money. So you slam your rocket's door closed and go home. All your skyscrapers are already built. New York City, with your house in the middle, looks very different now. You're lying in a giant bedroom with marble floors, ancient Chinese vases, and a fountain. Your money can buy anything, but you're lonely. So you have another skyscraper built next to yours. This one is for your friends. And one more for your family. And of course, your beloved cat also deserves a private penthouse. You've run out of free space. It's time to build your own city. You choose a place that used to be a scorching desert with nothing but sand for miles on end. But you pay trillions of dollars and have a city built from scratch. There's a chain of restaurants with your name on them. There are billboards with your face in the streets, and a giant statue on the tallest building in the city looks exactly like you. The city is almost empty, but you drive through its streets escorted by security guards in extravagant cars. For dinner, you buy the most high-priced fish in the world. It's the bluefin tuna for $3 million. And then you decide it's time to make a movie about yourself. The most expensive movie ever made cost $400 million. You pay $1 billion and hire the world's highest-paid actors. But when the movie's ready, the only audience watching it is you, mostly because you're in your private theater. When the credits are rolling, you start to throw popcorn at the screen. You didn't enjoy the show. You walk down a long corridor with the most expensive pictures in the world. Next to them, you see the rarest archaeological finds and, is it another fountain? No, you're not okay. You spent trillions of dollars, but you haven't gotten an ounce happier. You decide to go back to where it all began. With a torch in your hand, you return to the ancient ruins. There it is, the treasury. You find the genie's lamp where you left it. As soon as you pick it up, the genie appears in front of you. He laughs at you because you've fallen into his trap. He gave you an infinite amount of money so that these riches drove you crazy. But you pull out your phone and press the Donate All button. In that very second, your money goes to charity accounts all over the world. Now, scientists have more opportunities to work on new medicines. Ecologists have found more funds to use while saving our planet. And every person on Earth has enough food now. The genie gets angry because you've tricked him. He's about to strike you with a lightning bolt. but you grab the lamp and confine the genie to it forever. When you get home and turn on the TV, you see your face on every channel. You're called a hero, the savior of humanity. You get thousands of thank you letters from people you've made happy. You smile and feel better too. Apparently, helping others is the best thing you can do.
The food on the tables in the cruise ship's dining room seems freshly made. It looks like everyone just picked up and left. You panic and run outside to the main deck. There are plenty of slippers and sandals lying around, but no people around. You bend over the railing and see that the cruise ship is still moving. There's not a single staff member in sight. Your first guess is that they've all gathered somewhere for some reason, so you make your way to the captain. You walk through the long and maze-like corridors before you reach the control room. The door is wide open and someone has set the ship to cruise control. Some scenarios play out in your head. Scenario number 1 is that while you were asleep, everyone else woke up and decided to pull a prank on you, so they must be hiding somewhere on the ship. When you freak out because no one is around, they'll pop out of nowhere and surprise you with an awesome party and cake. The second scenario you come up with is that while everyone was enjoying their cruise, the ship accidentally entered the 4th dimension with everyone, including the animals on board. But then, why did they leave you behind? The third possible scenario is that everyone found a better cruise ship nearby and decided to abandon the ship for a better one. They just forgot to tell you. But why did they leave their stuff behind and their food half-eaten? You try to figure out what the controls mean, but it's just a bunch of random gizmos and flickering lights. There is no pop-up manual to study, but there is pretty fast Wi-Fi. You start your laptop and do a quick search on what some of these things mean. You quickly figure out that the ship is in safety mode and has automatic sensors to detect when the water gets too rough. You open up social media and try to contact some people, but your phone doesn't have a connection. Only the laptop, which is connected via cable, works. There's a radio to contact the mainland. You ring in, but no one's answering. Suddenly, your notifications pop up. You look at photos of your friends on vacation or back home. But they're not there. Only the backdrop with no one in there. Everyone has officially disappeared, except you. You try one last time to contact the rest of the world, but nobody is answering. You check out some of the cruise details and find out that the ship will need around 11 days until you reach the nearest dock. After looking at the map, you see a small remote island that's only 4 days' trip away. The cruise ship travels around 20 knots, which is around 23 miles an hour. Meanwhile, you discover the ship and enter some of the fancy places. The ads on TV just show an empty backdrop of the cruise ship without people, which makes it look quite lonely. On a 7-day cruise, a large ship can use over 9,000 pounds of lettuce and 45,000 pounds of eggs. In general, there are 2,000 steaks and 1,000 baked potatoes consumed per day on a cruise with more than 1,000 people. There is so much food and ingredients on the ship that you can technically last for years. You reach the receptionist desk and talk over the intercom radio to make official announcements. Hello? Hello? Just the sound of crickets. Okay, if this is some kind of prank, it's not funny. You can come out now. I'm going to the underdeck for some snacks. You wait for an answer, but no one is coming. You decide to go to the lower decks of the ship. But before you head down, you check out the ice skating rink with no one there. You slip on some ice skating shoes and go for a little spin. It feels good with no one to bother you or tell you what to do. After that, you check out the game room and play some arcade games. You use the coins from the counter and play for hours. The sun begins to set, so you decide to have a refreshing drink and enjoy the view. You sit on the top deck where only the VIPs are allowed and grab the biggest sunbed to lay on. It's so quiet that you can hear the ocean waves. You fall asleep there and wake up the next morning because of the bright sun. You walk around trying to see what to do. You grab a golf club and start swinging. You get the balls into the ocean and keep playing until you get bored. You realize that you got sidetracked with the activities and want to go to the lower decks of the ship. You check out the staff-only entry with a pass that you found lying around. You start descending to the bottom. It's getting darker. The power isn't working, so you grab a flashlight and look through the rooms. Crew members usually live in a dorm-style room with shared bunk beds. They have a common area for eating staff meals and have access to other recreational activities. The kitchens that serve the main restaurants are also located in the bottom areas. All the rooms look the same. There's a lot of noise coming from the engine room, which makes it creepy. The pipes are clanking and popping sounds bust from random places. The lights are flickering. There are shadows following you as you're moving with the flashlight you picked up from one of the rooms. You're scared. You call out to see if there's anyone there, but all you hear is your own voice echoing through the corridors. You're lost. You try to find your way back to the top decks, but everything looks the same. You start running and panicking. You trip over something and lose your flashlight. It's very dark. You wave your arms around and try to find your way out. You put your hands on the wall and try to navigate around. You see a bright light at the end of the corridor. You walk towards there. You end up reaching one of the central kitchens with plenty of food lying around. There are dozens of fridges and a whole kitchen dedicated to desserts. Your stomach growls from hunger. You eat some of the most exotic and top-of-the-line food that can cost up to $1,000 per dish. You spend the next few days gobbling up the yummy treats, playing golf, and partying on the dance floor. 3 days later, you maxed out most of the fun stuff of the cruise ship. While basking in the sun, you see an island in the distance. You grab your binoculars and notice the dock where the ship is heading to. You quickly head to the control center and see the map. It needs 30 minutes to arrive, but you don't know how to park the cruise ship. You end up lowering the anchor to stop the ship. You'll then use the rescue boats for rowing to the island. You gather some supplies and food and row. Maybe someone on the island can help you out. You descend and row to the shore. You enter the city, but it's empty. People have left their cars in the middle of the road during their commute. You head to the police station to see if you can get some answers, but nothing. Months later, you've explored the whole island and saved plenty of food from the cruise ship. After 5 years, you've taken complete control over the island and learned how to drive the cruise ship properly. You haven't seen a single person since that day on the cruise ship. It's like everyone picked up and evaporated. 10 years later, you're sitting in the radio tower. You have a full-grown beard and fields of crops all over the island. You haven't stepped foot on the cruise ship for 3 years. Suddenly, you catch some signal on the radio in Morse code. Someone from the mainland is trying to contact you. You decide to get back on the ship and make your way there. What would the Earth look like if it was born in another solar system? I did a little research for you to find out, and the results were surprisingly wholesome. There are some warm tropics, strong winds, and giant dragonflies. But okay, let me explain from the very beginning. Since 1995, NASA has discovered more than 4,100 planets outside the solar system. Unfortunately, most of them are either flying ice balls like Neptune or gas giants like Jupiter. But there are still as many as 161 planets similar to our Earth. And one of them is very close to us, in the Alpha Centauri constellation. There are 3 stars in this constellation. 2 of them are called Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. If you live in the southern hemisphere, you've probably seen them. They're very bright. Because of that, they look like one big star. They rotate around each other very slowly. And there's the 3rd star, chilling around not far from them. It's a teeny tiny red dwarf, Proxima Centauri. It got its name because of its proximity to our sun. This star is the most interesting one, so let's talk more about it. Proxima Centauri is only 4.5 light years away from us. Oh, and 1 light year is about 6 trillion miles. Yep. If we went there, it would have taken just a little over 165,000 years of traveling in a space shuttle. Oh, you think that's a lot? For the universe, it's like checking on your fridge. Proxima Centauri is much lighter and much smaller than the Sun. It's also 2 times colder than the Sun, with a temperature of 3,000 Kelvin. That's why we can't see it without a telescope. On the bright side, though, it will burn for trillions of years. And you don't have to worry that one day it will eat us like our sun. And yes, our twin planet is located right next to Proxima Centauri. This planet is called Proxima b. Yeah, I know, they got creative with all these names. I hope you won't get confused. It's slightly larger and more massive than the Earth. This planet is located in the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri. It means that there can be water and even some microorganisms there. Yes, it's possible that one day we'll find some life there. But right now, we don't know much about this mysterious planet. It's probably a rocky planet like our Earth and has a similar landscape, but this is just a theory. Who knows what kind of jokes the universe can throw at us? It would be a shame to fly 165,000 years just to stumble upon a giant piece of ice or something. Fortunately, we probably don't have to wait that long. The big brains are now developing a technology that would allow us to move at the speed close to the speed of light. If they succeed, we'll get to Proxima b in just 20 years. But anyway, this video is not just about Proxima b. It's about what would have happened if life had originated not in our solar system, but in Alpha Centauri. What if we were orbiting Proxima Centauri, or the other two stars? So now, let's imagine that the Earth has replaced Proxima b. I'm going to call this new planet New Earth. Guess I'm not very creative at naming either. First of all, the orbit. The new Earth must be about 25 times closer to its star than Proxima b is. Otherwise, it would be unimaginably cold. Let's move the planet a little closer. Excellent. The day still lasts 24 hours, but our orbital period is very high. Proxima b revolves around its star in 11 days. But we'll make it in just 8. Hey, a birthday party every week? Sign me up. Oh, hold on, there's another problem. You see, Proxima Centauri is a flare star. This means that sometimes, just out of nowhere, it throws out some stellar winds. These winds carry around a bunch of ionized particles, which then settle on the planets. Yeah, our Sun also does that, but Proxima Centauri tries to finish us off 2,000 times harder than our Sun, so the radiation levels are off the scale, to say the least. Don't worry, it's fine. All we need are incredibly strong magnetic fields. They will help us create a very thick atmosphere that can protect us from the Proxima Centauri's tantrums. So now it's going to be very warm, or not. Another problem. Scientists are still not sure how exactly Proxima Centauri's planets rotate around it. What if they turn out to be tidally locked, like our moon? Then one half of the new Earth will be a frying pan, and the other half will be some frosty deserts. Oh, it's fine, we'll just settle down somewhere in the middle. Didn't expect that I would ever say this, but it will definitely be warm at the North Pole. And if we're lucky with the rotation, we'll just get a cozy, warm planet. The average temperature is about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and there aren't any extreme temperatures. On the new Earth, we have much more water. The weather is generally pretty crazy, some very strong winds and quite destructive rains that can go on for quite a long time, but you can adapt. Temperature changes are much more noticeable in the mountains. Just like on Earth, the higher you climb, the colder it gets, except it's very cold right here at the top. Because of this, the mountains and hills have jungles below and snow-covered deserts on the tops. But in general, it's almost like the Earth's tropics. The flora is very rich, the trees are very low but lush. The thick atmosphere also makes flying easier, so there are a lot of large flying animals, like dragonflies with a wingspan of 16 feet. Moving on. The sky here is much lighter than that on Earth and very cloudy. Sometimes it may seem completely white. But the starry night is beautiful and bright. There are 4 suns. Our main one is Proxima Centauri. We can also see 2 bright Alpha Centauri stars. And finally, our old sun, which looks like a bright, distant star. I'll allow you to shed a tear for the old Earth. There's a few planets near us, like Proxima Centauri c. The host star is surrounded by 2 belts of cosmic dust, so get ready for some gorgeous, colorful night views. So what we have in the end is a little crazy, but a beautiful green planet. I personally wouldn't mind moving there already. What about you? Write in the comments. Alright, so now we know what would have happened if our Earth had been born near Proxima Centauri. What about the other two stars? Unfortunately, we won't be able to rotate near two stars at the same time. Scientists suspect that Alpha Centauri A and B have some kind of common planet that jumps from one orbit to another, but it's probably very cold. Let's choose Alpha Centauri A. Just like on the new Earth, here our average temperatures are about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but now the temperature variation is quite large. It goes from negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit at the South Pole to 113 degrees Fahrenheit at the equator. We'll be fine close to the north. The day is still 24 hours, and the orbital period is 1 year and 1 month. It's almost the same for the Alpha Centauri B, but the orbital period is about half a year. Other conditions are very similar to those on Earth. Changes in the seasons are almost not noticeable. The temperatures don't change much either. No matter where we settle down, the neighboring star will be clearly visible, but we probably won't see Proxima Centauri. And that's about it. Of course, all this assumes perfect conditions. Just like on Earth, one slightest change, whether it's a thin atmosphere or a bigger distance from the star, and it won't end well. We got really lucky with our Earth. But even so, the chances of finding a habitable planet are very high. Even with the tiniest possibility, there will be about 15 million planets in our universe that we can find life on.
You've finally done it! You've created a simulator that allows you to copy yourself into the apps on your phone to learn faster. You plug your phone in, open Google, and put on a helmet with goggles to get a 360-degree view. After hooking them up, you call your sister to activate the machine. She's not answering you, so you head to her bedroom where you see her doing a TikTok dance challenge. You tease her for it and pester her to activate the machine downstairs. She follows you while still using TikTok. She gets upset and, without you looking, changes the home page on your phone to TikTok. She then activates the machine. You're in the simulation, but something's wrong. You're going through a virtual wormhole. You see all kinds of apps circling you until you land flat on your face on a dark surface. You're scared. Your heart is thumping. You look around and see yourself in a room with a screen in front of you. It asks for your username. You shout all kinds of words, asking to let you out, but a red light blinks every time you do so. Every word you say is picked up by the screen, which then displays it as your username while asking you to accept it to proceed. You say accept, and the wall opens. Your username is "Let me out!" You exit and enter a futuristic city glittered with purple and blue lights and tall towers with screens showing TikTok videos non-stop. The tallest tower shows the most trending videos today.
We'd like to continue helping you learn and giving you useful skill improvement tips. Got a thirst for knowledge? We've prepared 4 masterclasses on creating a 2D character animation from scratch, 10 hours of video lessons, practical tasks using professional software, and additional materials that you can use with your own projects.
While the other towers show other popular videos. You follow the road in front of you. It leads you into a crowd in the middle of a virtual Times Square. Everyone has a floating bubble above them with their username and bio written there. It also shows how many followers they have. Most of these people have just a handful of followers. They look like their profile pictures. Everyone is staring at you, since you're the only one who looks not like an avatar, but like a real human. You see 2 people standing opposite each other without moving. You see the bubbles above each of them change. They are now following each other. Suddenly, everyone stops and stares at the girl as she becomes verified. A blue tick appears in her bubble, and she vanishes. You run up to the one who has just followed her and try to get some information. You're the only one talking out loud, while everyone else is communicating through direct messages in their inboxes.
You realize that you have to stand still and wait for someone to accept your DM. The person you're talking to receives your message and blocks it. You try to initiate another dialogue, but the person freezes and then walks away. You realize some people are looking at you in a peculiar way. They start following you. They're everywhere. You start walking fast and disappear into a sea of people where they can't find you. After a while, you dip into an alley and find an underground cafe. You enter and see a bunch of people sitting around doing nothing. You try to talk to some of them, but they don't answer. Even weirder, they don't have faces. None of them have followers. They don't respond to anything. And if you try to communicate with them, they just spaz out some advertisements. You look at the screen in the room. It shows your face. TikTok is after you. You hear a knock on the door, and dozens of people rush in. They're the internal security of TikTok, and they're after you. You exit through another room. Now you're inside a building where many of these bots are living. They're behind you and getting closer. You reach a dead end with a window in front of you. You turn around and see the security running straight at you. You have no choice but to jump out of the window. You get a running start and sprint through the glass. You land on the roof of a neighboring building. Every tower is now displaying your username and profile pic as wanted. You have no idea why they're after you. You make your way to another alley and hide in a dark corner. It seems you've lost them. You check your settings to see why you're the most wanted man on TikTok. It shows that you're an invalid user. The app thinks you're a glitch that's going to destroy the very fabric of TikTok. You know for a fact that it's just the cybersecurity of TikTok working to catch any bugs or attacks. You open your settings, but you can't do anything since they blocked you. You open Search and type in your sister's name. It turns out she's verified with a blue tick, which will be difficult to track. You head back out and try to search for her. You hear some people walking around and quickly leave the alleyway. You get back to the crowd. You can't act hysterically anymore, or you'll draw attention to yourself. You reach Hashtag Avenue, where all the trending videos are. So far, no one has noticed you. The most popular hashtags are at the top. It's quite a walk to get there. You browse through most of them, but can't find your sister. Then you remember that she was dancing. So you check the hashtag dance and try to locate her. You find out that the video she was doing earlier is one of the most popular videos. You finally find her, but the security stops you and chases you along Hashtag Avenue. You randomly appear in various trending videos. You reach a dead end and the security catches you. They escort you to a room where they try to get information out of you. They think you're a bot, but you keep telling them that you invented the machine to copy yourself into TikTok virtually. They're not buying it. Eventually, they try to extract you, but it's not working. They try to figure out what to do, but they don't let you leave. While they're transporting you to another facility, you manage to slip out of their sight and sneak off to search for your sister. This time, you have to be on high alert. TikTok is searching for you. Users have seen you in hashtags, so they're also on the lookout. Out of nowhere, large cameras pop out. They're trying to spot you. Any slip up, and you could be stuck in TikTok for good. You make one last attempt to get to your sister. You find a hat and a jacket to disguise yourself. Now it's impossible for you to interact with anyone, since they can detect your activity. But you have to take this chance for her to get you out. Eventually, you go back to Hashtag Avenue and head to your sister. You find some of the most popular TikTokers chilling together. Your sister is among them. There's a lot of security, so you keep it low. After a while, you slowly approach her and take her aside. You activate the chat option and ask her to head downstairs to the basement and unplug you from the system. But before you can finish the last few words, the security guards rush over to you and start chasing you. But this time, all cameras are on you, and there's no place to go. You surrender yourself to the security, and they take you to a locked room you can't escape from. You sit there worried. You're bouncing your knees and rubbing your palms together. You have no idea if your sister has received the full message or not. Hours pass, and no word from outside. You may have blown it. But suddenly, you get a notification from your sister. You try to type, but nothing is working. You start feeling funny. Everything around is shaking. The walls start glitching, and you see the real world. You get pulled into a wormhole, and you wake up in your lab. You're breathing heavily, trying to piece the recent events together. You feel like you've been in TikTok for half a day, but apparently, it was less than half an hour. Your vision is clear, and the first thing you see is your sister filming you with her phone. She's grinning from ear to ear, not knowing what you've actually gone through.
Check this out. There's a giant tornado heading towards you, and it's so fast. These twisters can move at crazy speeds of more than 250 miles per hour. Plus, they can carve a pathway 50 miles long and a mile wide. Sometimes you can see them coming clearly, while in some cases, low-hanging clouds or rain can hide them, so they sneak up on you and you don't even see them. And in most cases, a tornado can develop so fast that no one can even warn you in time if it's already too close. And now, this insane storm is really close. Maybe you have a couple of minutes to get somewhere safe. Do you have a basement? Go hide. Or maybe, I know this is a crazy idea, but what do you think about going inside a tornado to check what it would be like? Now, some tornadoes appear as rope-like swirls, while others have wide clouds in the shape of a funnel. And here's the second one, right before you. Look at these whirling winds born in a thunderstorm. They extend down from it to the ground. Many times, hail joins the party too. The U.S. itself has something like 1,000 tornadoes per year. Texas holds the record with about 120 tornadoes per year, a record not to be proud of. But you'll generally see most twisters in Tornado Alley, which is a stretch of land in the midwestern part of the U.S. They develop when warm, moist air coming from Mexico meets cool, dry air from Canada. These two clash and turn into a powerful storm that at some point can spawn tornadoes. And you'll see most tornadoes there between April and June, though lately some have come even in December. They can range from a regular dust storm to an incredibly powerful force that can carry away cars, large trees, and even houses. But this is a unique chance. You've never been this close, right? Plus, it's a gigantic one. You don't often get to see such a big one. Okay, ready then? It's getting closer. You feel the wind getting stronger while tossing dirt and debris in your face. You close your eyes and whoosh, you're inside, and it's crazy. Vicious winds are hurling and spinning you around. They're lifting you up at the same time. Feeling dizzy? Feeling like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz? Now may be a good time to check what's really happening to you, while inside swirling with winds and… oh wait, is that your neighbor's motorcycle spinning together with you? Hope it'll stay that far away. Now, let's take a moment to catch up. Being in the middle of a raging tornado is actually something you might survive. But I won't lie to you, it won't be easy. The first thing you'd sense would likely be the temperature changes. Inside this crazy twister, it can be 36 degrees colder than outside of it. That's because the center of the tornado funnel spins all the time. All that funneling makes the inside of the vortex way colder, and it makes the air way thinner than you used to. The air would be 20% less dense than, for example, what you would find at high altitudes. Now, I hope you're not planning to stay there for too long. Disclaimer here, the atmospheric pressure inside this swirling vortex is so low that your lungs won't be able to extract enough oxygen. Now, to give you a perspective of all this, breathing inside a tornado is like trying to get some air at an altitude of 26,000 feet. That's a pro level, similar to climbing Everest. So yeah, you'll need some help just to be able to take a regular breath. In short, you'll probably pass out after only a couple of minutes. But don't worry, I brought you this special mask, so breathing is not a problem anymore. Hey, did you notice how smooth the airflow from the inside is? Some storm watchers ended up inside a tornado. Later, they said it all looked so chaotic with all those raging clouds and winds swirling around. But from the inside, the air is surprisingly smooth. But that doesn't mean you'll get a peaceful ride because of it. And it's not a solo party in that thing. The neighbor's motorcycle is not the only thing you'll see there. Wood, bricks, glass, maybe even cars, cows, motorhomes, bricks, roofs, and other big objects. You'd be pretty lucky if nothing crashes into you in all that chaos. With all that debris that's swirling at, for instance, 310 miles per hour, you can hardly avoid it. But let's just say a miracle happens and you got through it. Now you're really dizzy, and you're just wondering when all of this is going to be over and if you're even going to be able to come out of this gigantic tornado. Well, the tornado will eventually slow down. It happens because cool air enters the twister. Just because things are settling down, it doesn't mean you can relax. Well, your stomach can, since all that crazy swirling is done, but the tornado will drop you from whatever height you're on when it stops. If you're somewhere in the countryside, there might be some soft bale of hay to break your fall. Oh wait, we're talking about a twister that's probably more than 45,000 feet tall, so that won't work. I hope you brought your parachute, because now would be a good time to pop it. Nope. Hey, don't worry, I'm all about happy endings, so I'll help you out. Here you go. And now you're slowing down, enjoying the view, if you even see anything around you from all that dizziness. How come there are clear sunlit skies from your left, you may wonder? It's not unusual. Tornadoes often form near the edge of a thunderstorm. It's like a border between two different worlds. And it wasn't even windy. Plus the air was very still before it hit, right? Well, that's common too. Okay, I think you know this kind of scenario is impossible in reality. So it would be best to find a safe spot quickly if a tornado is close by. Use your underground shelter first. And if you don't have one, your basement could be the next best choice. Prepare ahead of time with a battery-operated TV or radio, together with fresh batteries, or a device with internet to be able to hear the latest updates on the tornado. Include some non-perishable food, water, and other essentials prepared too. As it turns out, some people really were picked up by tornadoes, and they managed to go through it. A tornado actually dropped them a few hundred feet away without a scratch. Hey, I'd say that's a whole lot of bother just to save some bucks on Uber. But you can't have a guarantee you'll be safe or where you'll end up. It would be incredibly hard to get out of one of those big and fierce ones though, like supercells. They fall into the category of the strongest type of storms, mostly thunderstorms. And imagine falling into waterspouts. Those could be fine though, at least the beginning, because they're weak and they form over warm water. So they could be like a part of your spa day, at least until they move inland and turn into a real tornado. Now dust devils wouldn't be that pleasant. They're not that big, but we're talking about columns of air that rotate at large speeds. And you can easily see them because of all that dirt and dust they pick up, which is why you need glasses for that. Whoops, wait, I forgot that, so I can't help you this time. But if it makes you feel any better, they're not associated with thunderstorms. Don't know why that would make anyone feel better when I think about it. But if you're willing to jump into a fire tornado, I'll find you a special suit that will keep you safe while spinning through smoke, gas, and flames. I promise. Columns here are narrow and they rise vertically into the air, similar to a dust devil. Of course, the heat is crazy. And as updrafts are becoming stronger, and if there's enough dry fuel, a fire whirl is turning into a real fire tornado that extends from the ground up to the cloud, moving incredibly fast. Okay, let's stop now. I'm pretty dizzy. You wake up with pizza boxes piled up on top of each other. You stretch your right arm and slide it across some wet spilled noodles you had last night. Your leg smears some chocolate cake from last week and stains your mattress. There are random papers, clothes, books, food cartons with food still inside them, and other random useless junk all over your queen-size bed. You're too lazy to get out of bed, but you have to get to work. You shove aside all the junk and slide it onto the already littered ground. There are plastic bottles, more fast food litter, clothes, dirty dishes, and animal fur on the ground. It's sticky and covers every inch of real estate to the point that you feel like you're walking on lava. You stare out the dirty window, look at yourself in the mirror, and sulk. This isn't the you you'd thought you'd be a year ago. The sun is shining and you just bought your brand new house. It's a nice place outside the city in a little friendly neighborhood surrounded by picket fences and blooming flowers. Your neighbors come up to greet you just as you pull in the driveway. They bring a casserole and some yummy desserts to welcome you to the neighborhood. You gleefully accept them and head inside your new pad. Throughout the week, you unpack your bags and arrange your furniture. You also just landed a new job which helped you afford this house. You wake up every day at 6 a.m. and come back home at 10 p.m. This new job is paying you well, but you don't have time for yourself or to keep your house in order. Over the next few months, you start ordering food every night and bringing leftovers to work. You haven't changed your bedsheet since you arrived and haven't vacuumed the floor since you first stepped foot inside. The smell inside is getting stronger, considering you're not taking out the trash or opening the windows to air out the house. You've also given up on sorting out your dirty laundry. You have no more clean clothes left, so you're reusing the same clothes for work, but they have food stains all over them. The bathrooms are not a place anyone would like to go. The running water drips and overflows onto the floor, making it damp inside. Since no sunlight enters, mold grows abundantly, providing a home for various bacteria and parasites. It's no wonder you call in sick every month. So much work has made you lose sight of your house and has affected your performance at work. You've gotten multiple warnings and have been told to take care of yourself and get new clothes or wash the ones you have. But the more clothes you buy, the more dirty stacks of clothes appear all over your house. There's no place to sleep anymore. Your bed is a mountain of junk, and your couch is home to boxes you haven't even unpacked since you moved in. You order a sleeping bag and crash in the dirty kitchen. Cockroaches are crawling on every inch of the kitchen floor, counter, and little crawl spaces. Rats have chewed on most of the wooden furniture and created a network of underground tunnels for them to access every area of your house. You hear the little rat tails clacking on the tiles whenever they run past your ear. You try to sleep, but the dishes in the sink are so stacked up that the dripping faucet channels water to run through the plates and glasses and splash on your forehead. You pick up your sleeping bag and place it in the basement. The smell is unbearable. There is moss growing in every corner and even a small puddle of stagnant water festering and providing a home for mosquitoes, bacteria, and other vermin. The rats and mice use this small pool as a swimming ground to have pool parties and clean themselves up after a long day of eating your food and creating tunnels. There are thousands of rats in every corner, but you somehow don't mind them anymore. You see little nests of baby rats in the dark corners. The wooden foundation is failing and being eaten away by termites and the buildup of mold. You wake the next day with rat footprints all over your body and go to work only to be kicked out and sent back home to clean yourself up. You try to shower, but the pipes are clogged and only a few drops of dirty water land on your body. You go to the backyard that has a dirt-filled patch where you were supposed to build a swimming pool, but didn't have time to follow up on it. You lay your sleeping bag on the dirt and try to find a garden hose to clean yourself. But rats have gnawed through the plastic so it can't spray properly. Either way, you rinse yourself with water and try to dry yourself with some garbage bags since you can't find your towels in the sea of trash. You go back inside to watch TV, which surprisingly still works. You clear some space on your couch and order pizza. You have a stack of pizza boxes stacked on top of each other, forming a makeshift coffee table, and you rest your legs on it. The pressure and weight of your legs allows some insects to scurry away that have been eating the leftover crusts and cheese. The doorbell rings and you get up and answer it. The delivery guy is already in his car driving away from the stench. They all know you by now. It's a good thing you paid online. You go back to watching the movie while seeing some more critters crawling all over your TV set. Hours pass, and you realize that you need to wake up early for work. You make some room to sleep, but scratch your head on some sharp object lying around the couch. Months pass. The neighbors stop talking to you, and even straight up ignore you. They avoid you every time you leave your house. Mostly, they gossip and comment on your house. All the pests that came from your house are spreading throughout the neighborhood. Pest control cars are driving in and out of the neighborhood, visiting a new house every day. Flies and maggots have settled your house to the point that it's impossible to walk around and not have some flies circling your face. Anyone who drives by the neighborhood knows that your house is the source of the infestation. Many more months pass, and your house is unrecognizable. It's impossible to see the floor, and the walls have scratches all over them. Rats have taken over and nibbled on just about everything. They've become your new friends when eating and even finish some leftovers for you. The basement is completely flooded, and the water is leaking out to the main road. Other creatures have sought shelter in your home, including stray cats and dogs, raccoons, possums, and even bats. You have broken glass all over the floor from the busted light bulbs, and your mattress has holes all over it. You wake up with pizza boxes stacked all over you, and then look at the mirror. It's your 1-year anniversary of moving in, and this isn't the life you imagined. Out the window, you see your neighbors selling their homes, with some already gone, including the one who welcomed you when you first moved in. You turn around and, as if for the first time, you finally see that your house is such a mess. You spot a picture of yourself hanging on the wall. You put it there when you first moved in. You decide to fix your house and clean it all up. You know it'll take weeks or months, but you skip work and begin by cleaning up your room. You get boxes of garbage bags and start stuffing trash inside. You buy 3 new vacuum cleaners and start collecting all the dust and debris that has collected over the past year. After a couple of hours, you have over 20 garbage bags outside your house waiting to be collected. The stains will need to be scrubbed away, and the destroyed furniture will need to be thrown out. After 2 months of hard work, you manage to get rid of all the trash you can find. It takes you another week to scrub the floors and walls and order new furniture to replace the broken, chewed-up ones. The biggest challenge is getting rid of the remaining pests and fixing the basement water problem. After making some phone calls, you get some pros to fix the water and get rid of the vermin. It takes you a total of 4 months to turn your place into a minty fresh pad to live in. Your garden is blooming, and you go back to work in fresh clothes with a wide smile. And you get to meet your new neighbors, who have heard all about you. Yep, you have some fences to mend, don't you? The stage is set. You're in the spotlight, and everyone is looking at you. The piano's glossy texture shines brightly in the light. You lay your fingers on the keys and start playing. Since you have 20 fingers on each hand, you can hit multiple notes and make the sound richer. Each piano chord can have extra octaves and additional notes now with 40 fingers on the piano. After you finish, everyone stands up and claps for you. The sound of clapping is so loud since the palms are huge to fit 20 fingers on each hand. Now you're in a boat in the middle of a lake, ready to go for a swim. Your friend pushes you in and races you to the shore. Since you both have 20 fingers and toes on each limb, it's easy to swim and paddle. They act like natural rudders. You beat him and make it to shore. After that, you swim back to the boat, paddling with your hands and feet. After swimming, you go for a hike and notice a nice wall to scale. You get your gear ready and place each large palm on a nice fitting rock. Your grip is tight and you hang on to many different rocks that aren't the typical size of a 10-fingered rock. you manage to climb to the top and see the breathtaking view of the countryside. An iron suit and a confident smile. Yup, you're ready to nail that interview. You walk into the building like you own it and wait for someone to escort you to the CEO's office. Everyone notices your confidence and smart look. You're called in for your interview. You unleash your disarming smile and pop your suit up. You enter the room and extend it for a sturdy handshake. With 20 fingers, you release a pressurized grip that leaves the CEO impressed and eager to know more about you. You leave the building gleaming with a winner's attitude, and it's not long before they call you back for another interview. Okay, you've got this. 20 grocery bags in the trunk of your car and one trip. The road is long and has lots of curves and hills. You stretch your fingers and crack your knuckles. You plan out the weight distribution so you can have it evenly divided on each hand. With 20 fingers, you grip different bags and hold 10 on each hand. It's heavy, but hey, think of it as a leg and shoulder workout. You take them out of your trunk and make it quickly across the plain all the way to your house. Success! In one trip, you managed to get all the bags except one. Oh wait, never mind. You put the bag inside another bag before you left. But you do need to go back to your car and close the trunk. After a long day at work, you need to meet up with a friend you haven't seen in a long time, and you've been working way too hard today. On the way, you see a nail salon. You hop in for a quick manicure. But with 20 fingers on each hand, it's like doing a treatment for 2 people. Time is ticking, and you only have one hand done. Your friend calls you and tells you that she's waiting for you at the coffee shop. On to your next hand. After a while, you finish and rush to meet your friend. You're late, but at least you look good. You're attending a new tech launch with dozens of people showcasing all the new products. Many of the phones are slightly larger than phones suited for 10 fingers and 2-handed people. The phones are large enough to be considered mini tablets. You pick up a sample phone and click away. Since you've got 4 thumbs, typing on the keyboard is smooth and easy. The screen is long enough to be supported by the rest of your fingers on each hand. You move over to the computers and see something interesting that catches your eye. A laptop with a wide keyboard for your fingers to type effortlessly. You open a file and type away. You're surprised at how easy it is to write a quick document. Too bad you have to wait until it's officially launched so that you can get your hands on one of these bad boys. You're at the gym warming up and getting ready for the next exercise. You enter a boxing ring and practice sparring with a boxing bag. Since you have 20 fingers on each hand, each fist you lay on it is stronger and louder than with a regular 10-finger fist. After each punch, you stretch your body and continue sparring. You move on to other exercises to get ready for the big day. You're in the forest practicing your bow and arrow aim. You line up 2 cans side by side, and another 2 cans side by side. You take your bow and extend it backwards with 10 fingers on each hand. You place 2 arrows neatly and let loose. You strike both cans with ease. Now, let's up the ante by adding 4 cans next to each other. You turn your bow sideways and retract the arrows until there's enough pressure to release. You pull back and let the arrows fly off. Another success! You knock out 4 cans without breaking a sweat. If you have 20 fingers on each hand, then you'll need at least 7 or 8 bullseye targets next to each other. The bows will be long, but keeping a good aim won't be so easy. After much concentration, you release the arrows and hit all of them right in the middle. Having 50 fingers on each hand will alter the way you look and walk. Your hands will be heavy, so you'll need a powerful set of arms to keep balance and support your fingers. Everything will be large, including your phone and laptop. A guitar will be designed to accommodate the number of fingers that can play around the fretboard. If a regular guitar has 6 strings on the neck, then these monster guitars can have an easy 30 to 40. The music won't be limited to human design and can achieve so much more. Every musical instrument can be designed to suit the current physical conditions, like having 50 fingers on each hand, like a trumpet, piano, harp, and saxophone. A 3-piece band will sound like an orchestra, and an orchestra will sound like, well, 5 orchestras. You're chilling at home playing some video games with your friend. Each control is the size of a coffee table. A hand that can support 50 fingers on each hand is no joke, so a controller is supported by a little stand pinned to the ground. There are so many buttons and pad controls that it's easy to get lost just by looking at it. You're playing a game of soccer while controlling each player in the game individually. With such power to move and coordinate 100 fingers in total, your brain is larger than average, and your multitasking skills are on point. In the end, you beat him. And after a rematch, he beat you. In the third game, you both hit a stalemate. You prepare a high five and slap his 50-finger palm with yours, producing sound waves that reach your neighbors across the street. A lot of fingers on each hand means that tangible and ergonomic things have to be a lot bigger than average. Going to a jewelry shop is a headache since you have to find the right ring that fits any of the 50 fingers on each hand. Producing any glove is a multi-billion-dollar industry since each glove costs so much to make. Drawing is also a challenge since holding a regular-sized pen isn't easy to simply draw something. Each pen and stationery equipment are 10 times bigger than what we have today, and also cost a lot more to make than regular-sized pens. Glasses of water are longer or fatter so that you can properly grip them. The hand is a lot bigger, and the fingers go around the palm and resemble a sunflower. If you're hot, you can fan yourself with your hand instead of a regular fan. It'll be easier to scoop up some sand if you're building a sandcastle at the beach. With so much more space in your hand, you can make sandballs and create a mega-sized castle super fast. And if you're playing a game of snowballs, then get ready to have cannonballs instead of normal-sized snowballs. Oh, that gets smart!
There are tons of people outside. You're making your way through the laughing, chatting, shouting, and constantly moving crowd. It's a nice summer night, and it feels as if the entire city has gone for a walk. You decide to take a shortcut through the park. You're already near the lake when you trip, and the next thing you know, you're rolling downhill toward the water. Luckily, you stop in time not to get soaked through. Time to estimate the damage. Oh, a bump on your head, ice cream all over your clothes, hands, and face. Green spots left by the grass on your sneakers. Oh, and dozens of people laughing at your clumsiness. Well, it could be worse. You get to your feet and are about to climb the hill when the world around plunges into darkness. Oh no! The fall must have been more serious than you first thought. Did you hit your head hard enough to lose your eyesight? You calm down a bit when you hear people around screaming. What's going on? Is it a blackout? You can't see anything, not even the moon. After a couple of very tense minutes, the light is back again. You and other people laugh in relief. Nothing serious. You finally get back home. You're tired and still a bit shaken after your fall. So you take a quick shower and put an ice pack on the bump on your head. Soon, the ice falls to the floor. You're asleep. Beep, beep, beep. You try to make the alarm on your phone stop, but only send your gadget to the floor. Groaning, you sit up in your bed. Your head hurts. Supporting it with your hand, you get up and shuffle to the bathroom. Something strange catches your eye in the hall, but you can't for the life of you understand what it is. You switch on the light in the bathroom, getting mentally ready to see a huge purple spot on your forehead. And nothing. No, it's not that there are no marks on your face. The thing is, your mirror is empty. Well, not exactly. It just doesn't reflect you. You giggle. It sounds nervous. You come closer to the mirror. Nothing. You move farther away. Still nothing. Must be broken. That's when it hits you. Mirrors don't break. At least, not this way. If it doesn't reflect you, something must be wrong with you. You've got two plausible theories. One, after hitting your head, you fell into the lake and never got out, and now you're a ghost. Two, during the blackout, a vampire bit you, and everyone knows that vampires don't get reflected in mirrors. You visibly shake yourself. What are you even thinking about? Neither ghosts nor vampires exist. There must be something wrong with the reflective layer at the back. You try to look behind the mirror, but only hit your nose against the glass. You run to the bedroom to check your floor mirror. Empty. 3 minutes later, you discover that no mirror in your apartment reflects you. No one should find out, or I'll be locked up in a laboratory to the end of my days. You're pacing your room when your phone starts ringing. It's your friend Nora. She sounds strange. Hey, why don't you come to my place? I've already invited Nick and Allison. You thoroughly comb your hair and examine your face with the tips of your fingers. Unfortunately, you don't know if the bump on your forehead stands out. You put on a baseball cap, throw on your jacket, and leave the apartment. The streets look deserted, to put it mildly. Instead of the usual morning crowds, there are only a few people, and they look as if they're sneaking around. You're crossing a normally busy road when it hits you. There are almost no cars. Luckily, you manage to catch a cab. When you get into the car, the driver adjusts the rearview mirror so that you can't see him. Strange. At one point, you look mirror and notice a car driving behind your cab. And it would be nothing special if there was a driver in that car, but the mirror you're looking in claims the vehicle is moving on its own. So maybe this mirror invisibility isn't just your problem. Once you're at your friend's house, you realize Nora not only sounds, but also looks strange. Her lipstick is smudged, and she's apparently done up the buttons on her shirt the wrong way. It only confirms your suspicions. When your other friends come, they look no better. Nick's hair is a mess. Allison has some toothpaste on her cheek. It seems as if each of you is trying to behave nonchalantly, but fail miserably. Nora gives Allison a pocket mirror. Here, you've got something on your face. But Allison suddenly jerks her hand away, and the mirror falls to the floor. Surprisingly, it doesn't break. Instead, it just lies there, reflecting nothing. Like nothing at all. The surface of the mirror is blurry. Sometimes it seems to shimmer, but that's all. You all nearly jump out of your skin when the TV announces, "Breaking news!" The presenter, her voice shaking, informs people that after the blackout the day before, all mirrors stopped reflecting. At first, they didn't show people and other living beings. But just an hour ago, they turned into broken TVs, just shimmering and flashing at random times. After several moments of stunned silence, your friends start talking over each other. The shocking news and all the noise make your head hurt even more, so you just get up and leave. What you see outside makes you stumble. You spot at least 3 car accidents. Several cyclists are shouting at each other. A man is sitting on the sidewalk next to his fallen motorbike. Side and rear view mirrors have become useless all at once, and it's caused a wave of road accidents all over the place. You get home and are about to enter the elevator, but when you look inside, you see the large floor-to-ceiling mirror you used to like shimmer and flicker. You shiver and take the stairs. In the morning, your mirror still doesn't reflect you. This makes shaving a challenging and tricky task. In the end, you give up and decide to start growing a mustache and beard. At that moment, you don't understand yet how the absence of mirrors will complicate your life. Hairdressers and barbers are in extremely high demand. Makeup producers, on the contrary, lose tons of money every day. Beauty products are no longer popular. Applying makeup is so difficult these days that most people have given it up altogether. With no mirrors around, most people have started to eat more and have gained a bit of extra weight. They don't want to follow strict diets. Fewer and fewer people stress about their appearance. They become more self-assured and begin to appreciate their personalities more. Of course, almost no one risks driving without being able to see what's going on around. Even if people do drive, they move extremely slowly. No wonder. You need to stick your head out of the window all the time to make sure you won't cause an accident. Some drivers ask their passengers to do this. In this case, their cars look quite funny, with a head sticking out of every window. The main transport is now bicycles. People become fitter and healthier. The air is now clean and fresh, without exhaust fumes from cars. Different devices that used mirrors, like some kinds of telescopes, microscopes, and even streetlights, don't work anymore.
Photographers can't use their reflex cameras with mirrors inside and have to get digital ones. The number of selfies people take is growing at incredible speed. Without mirrors, it's the only way to check what you look like. People also have more free time now. It comes as a shock how much time the average person used to spend in front of mirrors. Scientists work day and night to try to find a solution to this unexpected problem. They experiment with different materials, trying to find something that would reflect the world as well as mirrors did. Car manufacturers have changed their strategy. They have started to develop self-driving cars that need neither mirrors nor a driver. They interact with other cars on the road, and their passengers can simply relax in their seats and do whatever they want. How are you dealing with this situation? Well, you've grown an amazing beard, and now you look like a Viking. Thanks to lots of walking and cycling, you're muscled, suntanned, and energetic. You definitely don't regret this whole mirror situation.
Okay, what if pressing only one key could change your life forever and make it much easier? Well, if we were in Minecraft, everything would be possible. Too hard to live? Too many tasks, deadline, school classes are tedious, and you just can't go on like this? Change your life mode to somewhat less challenging. Just press escape. Adjust your life difficulty choosing peaceful, easy, normal, or even hard for those who like it tough. If your teacher is as hostile as a green and white pixelated creeper, choose peaceful mode. Monsters don't spawn there. Or just get yourself a cat. Creepers are terrified when they see them. Even if your pet looks a bit boxish. One more cool piece of news, if your life is in peaceful mode now, you don't even need to eat, which could save you a ton of money. As for appearances, no more worries about pimples. Now that you're pixelated, nobody's ever going to notice them. You look the same every day. Your haircut, even if you hate it and can't wait for your hair to grow, never changes unless you change the skins. You can't grow or lose some pounds. Your body proportions are much different too. In our world, the head-to-body ratio is about 1:7, and in Minecraft, it's more as if everyone had a baby body with a huge head and smaller torso. You wouldn't have fingers, so if you had Minecraft body in real life, you wouldn't be good at fine motor skills. I guess no Minecraft surgery, huh? No matter what kind of biome you live in, you don't need some super cold-resistant clothes or nice shoes. Life without changes means that you don't age the way we normally do. No more birthdays anymore. The cake you find in the game is not for candles or making wishes. It can only help you if you're starving. A day-night cycle is somewhat different now, with 100 Minecraft days equaling 33 standard hours, so life expectancy should change too. The average lifespan in the USA is 78 years, or about 683,000 hours. So the average lifespan, according to Minecraft, would jump up to 5,700 years. Hey, and you can also respawn. Ready to live forever? Food isn't that different from what we have in real life, even in terms of calories. A whole cake will replenish your energy so much more than a plain beetroot. Carbs. There would be some exceptions too. A golden apple gives extra health in Minecraft. So sad Golden Delicious from Walmart are only delicious in real life. You can starve in Minecraft in 2 game days, though it takes a bit longer in real life. Yeah, going with no food is a real challenge, but a human actually can do that. Water, on the other hand, is pretty essential in our world, but doesn't do much to Minecraft people when they drink it. Today's agriculture uses some fertilizers to speed up plant growing. But if we had that bone meal Minecraft people feed their plants with, we'd have an abundance of any fruit or vegetables. Life would be quite boring though. You wake up today and you mine. You wake up the next day, you craft. The retail industry could never compete with skillful people, who actually don't need it, being able to create various objects from scratch. Anyway, you don't need that much. You can do almost anything with a mere pickaxe, upgrading it to a diamond one. All those hardware stores full of handy items would go bust in a real world with a pickaxe replacing everything else. You'd also have to be a bit more hardworking though. If you want to have a nap, there's no way you could do that in the Minecraft world. Here, you only sleep at night or if there's bad weather outside. Sleep is essential not to be caught by monsters that appear as soon as the night falls. And you gotta be sure there are no monsters nearby before you go to bed anyway. You can only sleep in your bed though. Even if you want to spread on a nice meadow in the shadow, you won't just fall asleep. Same with school classes. No matter how boring they are, it's just impossible to doze off. If you're used to watching pop science TV shows, well, that's something that would probably be almost unchanged. Discovery Channel would show not only various biomes and square animals, but other worlds too, like the Nether and the Overworld. Anyway, you wouldn't spend that much time indoors. Most activities in Minecraft are performed outdoors, so you'd have to go outside really often. Traveling is fun in Minecraft World. Want to visit the Nether? No, not the Netherlands. It's a trip to the underworld. No need to buy tickets, go through customs, spend hours in a tiny airplane seat. You only want some lava and a bit of water. Pour one over the other and you get obsidian. As soon as you create at least 8 blocks of the stuff, build a portal with them, set it on fire, and voila! Welcome to the Nether. If you travel a lot, you can casually grab your bed with you and assemble it wherever you want. Nice move to avoid pricey hotels, which are missing in the Nether anyway. It's not just a fun trip though. There are a bunch of ingredients you may need for potions. No fancy souvenirs either. Rather, some useful stuff you mine from exotic Nether blocks. Despite their moniker, locals called zombie pigmen are quite friendly and never attack unless it's you who started a fight. Lava can help you to travel, be a kind of trash bin, and keep intruders away. In Minecraft World, you can be sure unexpected guests won't bother you. They'll just fall into boiling lava. End of story. You can also install a tripwire hook just behind your front door to activate piston-based traps for unwanted visitors. Once your guest triggers the tripwire, the pistons will remove the flooring and send the visitor into the void. If you're going to the seaside, take your front door with you. It'll help you explore the ocean deep. If you fall into water, all you need to breathe freely is place a door above you. Nobody could ever hold their breath for more than 24 minutes in our real life, but in Minecraft, you can stay underwater almost forever, or just as long as you want. Transportation system is much cooler now. You can still use all the means of transport you're used to, but having a ride in a cart can be both fun and fast. Just build the rails wherever you want and forget about traffic jams. Physics are another big change. They give you lots of superpowers not accessible in the real world. You can jump higher, climb any mountain easier, and run faster as if the whole gravity stuff was a joke to you. You can make a vertical row of blocks, and even if you smash the lowest block, the one above it will hang in the air. It doesn't mean you can't fall down from a height. You can. But it's safe if you just spill some water from a bucket right before the impact. Not only can you perform all of that, but you can also easily chop a massive trunk in just a few moves. No tools necessary, by the way, just your bare hands. And not even a scratch left on them afterwards. You don't feel pain in this world. Don't worry, the top branches of the tree you just fell won't hurt you either, since they'll be hung in the air. Deforestation in Minecraft looks insane. Can you imagine a forest made up of floating trees? No squirrel could ever climb any trunk in such a forest. Walking around here, you're likely to come across wild animals, such as bears and wolves. You can domesticate wolves and almost convert them into dogs, and bears are not that dangerous for you. Just trap them inside a fence. It looks flimsy, but it's Minecraft World, so it's absolutely safe. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.